Hey guys, it's Jay. Welcome back to the channel. Man, this is going to be a great topic tonight. It really is. At the same time, we have a lot of toy news to cover as well, but I can't do this alone. I really need to bring in some help to get all of this stuff organized and really sort of, get this thing all in a row. So guys, I want to bring in some very good friends. First of all, he's been part of the channel for such a long time, and I really want to thank him for all his help, especially during this last couple of weeks. Guys, I want to please help me welcome to the stage, good friend of the channel, Oz from Mattis Toys. Oz, what's going on, my friend? How you doing tonight? You're on mute.
Too many controls. Can't figure out how to do this streaming thing that I've been doing for a year now.
Yeah, no kidding.
It gets difficult.
You still have the record for 20, was it 12 hours? Was it 12 hours? It was a crazy.
It's just 8. Don't blow up my legend too much yet, but I'll get to 12. I mean, honestly, at this point, what I was just streaming Toy Frenzy last night, and then we had a special Toy Frenzy episode earlier doing the quick figure review of Mondo Trap Jaw that Bobby just received. And then now, here I am doing this. I might as well just stay live from here all the way till my stream tomorrow. We'll just do it, whatever.
It might end up being that way, Oz. It might end up being that way. We have some other guests that we're going to bring in right now. And Oz, if you want to just start flashing comments, because, it's going to be a busy night tonight. So, the guys definitely going to recognize all your comments. Yes, so just hang tight. I want to bring in a very special guest. I literally just came off of his live stream. And if you haven't seen that one already, guys, after this live stream, definitely go check out that live stream. We covered a lot of toy therapy, because apparently I need toy therapy. There's a lot of things going on up here that no one should know of, but we found out anyway. Guys, I want to bring in Paint's toy sample. Aaron, what's going on, brother? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well.
Long time no see.
I know, it's been like forever. I mean, geez,
a whole 10 minutes. It's
yeah, exactly.
Crazy. It's nuts. So guys, definitely, if you haven't already checked out Paint's toy samples, definitely give him a like and a follow. Definitely check out his content. I had a wonderful time. We were talking about my deep, dark, secret past. If you guys want to find out how dark Jay can get, definitely check out.
Yeah, no,
it gets dark.
Check out how dark he got. We started talking about eating people. I'm just kidding. We talked about a lot of stuff, but anyway.
Eating people was a topic.
It was crazy.
There was a brief moment where it was a little concerning.
It was just absolutely nuts. Going to bring our next two guests in, and they are, of course, no strangers to the channel, but we have to do this right. So, guys, please help us welcome the dynamic duo, of course.
And before we go live, smash that like button, turn on notifications, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss a beat.
Guys, welcome to the channel. Toy Habits, everybody. Toy Sorceress, Michael, how are things going in your life? What's going on, everybody?
Awesome.
Oh, doing good.
Toy Sorceress, have you moved into your castle yet? Is everything...
One more week. One more week. We're finishing up the renovations, so... Yep.
How about you, Michael? How are things going on in your neck of the woods?
Things are good. I'm actually going to be meeting up with Brick and Silver K tomorrow, IRL, at a toy show. So nice. I'm super excited about that.
That is going to be awesome.
Yes.
I'm so happy to see you guys. And of course, Toy Sorceress, I hope things are going well with what you're doing, because I know you're super, super busy. Thank you for joining us, guys. This is going to be a great topic tonight. Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a great topic tonight, and we couldn't do this without some really big help from someone in the community who's brought so much joy to everybody. Guys, please help us welcome the director of PowerCon, Val Staples, my friend. Val, how are you doing, my friend?
I was curious who you're talking about. Somebody brought a lot of joy. I was like, well, somebody else must be getting ready to pop up here. I don't know who that is.
Oh, it's good to have you, Val. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for, it was wonderful meeting you at PowerCon. How have things been since then? I know that PowerCon is always a stressful event that happens every year, and you must be absolutely, even now, you're probably still exhausted from that entire experience every single year. Isn't that right?
I can't believe it's been 2 months already. We're still dealing with people's Demistros capes and skirts not having arrived yet. So that's like the post office living up to its great tradition of timely delivery. other than that, I mean, things are going good. We're getting ready to do a second chance offer for some of the exclusives that didn't sell out. There's not too many left. And just trying to get back to getting other projects taken care of that are long overdue and need of attention.
Well, it could be worse. I mean, somebody might not have delivered the product in 1 year. Wink,
That's stuck on that boat. Yeah, that was not fun.
No, it wasn't.
I mean, what could you do about it, though? I mean, there was so many other people suffering from the same thing. So,
and you know what? Not even a year later, like literally, things just disappeared, right? And nobody was going anywhere, right? So, it's been crazy. So, before we get into the main topic of the evening, I just wanted to once again ask everybody how things are going. Aaron, I just got off the stream with you.
Yeah.
What do you have coming up? Is there anything that you'd like to tell everybody?
Well, I got tomorrow night. I'll be hanging out with Oz. We'll be opening all of this. Literally, yeah, you saw it when I pulled it up because it was a lot. It was a lot of stuff. I don't know where I'm going to put it, but that's a future problem, like tomorrow night problem. But and then next week I've got Action Figs coming on for some toy therapy on Friday, and got a big month.
Absolutely. Toy Sorceress, Michael, what do you guys have? Because I know this week has been absolutely bonkers for all of us. So, what do you guys have coming up, or are you planning anything in the next couple of days?
How about recovery?
We're gonna need some toy therapy too, Peyton.
We'll make arrangements in November.
Yeah. So there was so much toy news that dropped this week and all of these great reveals, right? But there were a few things that we saw at San Diego Comic-Con that did not get revealed this week. So we are talking about what are the next Mattel Creations exclusives going to be, and going through all of the missing figures that were not dropped, plus all the figures that are teased on the card art that we're expecting to see. So this is a fun speculation live stream, and we're talking about future Mattel Creations exclusives. So it's going to be a fun time.
That is crazy. On that note, because we have Val here and because everybody here is pretty much, big, huge MOTU fans, how about these drops this week? I mean, seriously, I wasn't expecting a lot of these things, and I think a lot of people were just absolutely gobsmacked by some of these crazy announcements. And how about Mattel returning to retail? I mean, Target exclusives, Walmart exclusives. Literally at San Diego Comic-Con, they were saying stuff like, "Oh no, we're gonna pull it back. We're gonna bring Origins back to Mattel Creations only." What is everybody's reaction to that? Val, did you know anything about this? Did they talk to you?
No, I am. Even when I worked with Mattel, they didn't tell me anything. It's I was always on the outside. I found out things about PowerCon, but after you all did, oddly enough. Stuff. I mean, it's weird. It's weird, but no. I think it's promising. I think kind of everybody kind of speculated the pullback on things, with the cartoons, the children's cartoon ending, probably being the last season of Revolution happening, the movie going on ice. It seemed like, okay, things are probably going to cool off for a bit. So seeing some things go back to retail, that's promising. Maybe that's a sign that something is on the horizon that we don't know about. I'm not suggesting, because I don't know. But whenever you see a move like that, it's a good sign.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Aaron, Oz, what are your thoughts?
You want to go first, Oz, or you want me to go? Because I did a bunch of pre-orders this week, and I wasn't going to do a whole lot of Origins, but you know what? A couple of the Filmation characters made it into my pre-order list, just because, one, I don't have them in Origins, but I also really, really like the way they look. And I've scaled back on my Masterverse, so I only picked up, I think there's only one out of that wave that I actually put on pre-order. But
I'm so excited. Oz.
Well, the main ones for me were all Walmart exclusives, so I'm just kind of writing those off the book.
Pour out some liquor.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, the rest of my snake men. That's all I gotta say. I'll never find them. But I mean, in all seriousness, one of the biggest problems is just the distribution among the retail. Like everybody keeps blaming Mattel for distribution. Mattel has nothing to do with Walmart and Target's distribution. That is no, they don't. It shows up
taking the packages down the road as they get delivered, right?
Well, that goes on at all of them, but
yeah, an exclusive has a limited quantity. I mean, that's the nature of an exclusive. When they take it on, they've bought in for an MOQ, and that's it. But then, however they distribute it, that's up to the retailer.
Them alone. You know, Walmart has Walmart trucks show up to Walmart stores, not Mattel trucks.
That's true.
Same at Target. They've got their own fleet of distribution. They have their own distribution centers. Mattel can't fix distribution amongst Walmarts or distribution amongst Targets. They can't do a damn thing about it. And the way they've been shipping out their Mattel Creations exclusives, I'm less inclined to think the issue is on Mattel's end and more on Walmart and Targets.
Because maybe if Mattel smartened up, they wouldn't give so many exclusive figure exclusives to Walmart when they know that their distribution's crap and people can't get these hard to find figures, the figures that are in demand, to a company who can't distribute them properly nor deliver them in decent shape because they're collectibles. That's how
should we mention the comic version Manny Faces? It's not exclusive to Walmart and Target though, because that Manny Faces supposed to be Amazon. I got mine canceled.
Has Walmart made any strides in improving their shipping, like how they pack things?
That's the
thing I don't understand at all.
If you order a single figure, you're likely to get it in a bag. I promise you.
Or have it canceled, right?
Yeah.
WWE Superstars line canceled, but they're showing up in stores. I really don't get it.
Yeah.
I was just going to add, one thing I do got to say is, for example, Hasbro has learned their lesson with their G.I. Joe classified retro figures that were always exclusive to Walmart, showing up to people folded in half like tacos when you know that the reason you're buying the figure is to display it and keep it on card before you buy two and you open one. They learned their lesson. They took the exclusive now away from Walmart and they're making their card backs thicker. So a company can learn, they can adjust, they can make corrections. Giving those 3 Snakeman figures that everybody wants to Walmart was a big mistake. But I love Mattel and I love MOTU, so I'm not trying to get on their case. It's Walmart's distribution that's frustrating, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Coming in. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, sorry, really quickly. Coming in all the way from, you know what? I forgot where. I was going to say California. I don't know why I was going to say that. I knew he wasn't.
Detroit.
Anyway. Detroit. He's not even like 3 hours away from me. So, guys, please help us welcome a Punk with Toys, everybody. What's going on, Lawrence? How you doing, brother?
Hi, how you guys doing?
Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you, man.
Sorry, I literally fell asleep.
We're all old people now.
I know, right? I'm usually in bed by now.
I got senior pictures to do with my son, so tomorrow.
That's awesome.
I don't have to do them, so it doesn't matter to me.
Well, awesome. I will probably last about a half hour more, and then I will probably be pumpkining because I'm old and apparently, just can't stay.
You're still around.
Absolutely.
I am too.
So, Michael,
he can't even hang this long on my streams.
Yeah, no.
Michael Torsorcerus, you guys got an early glimpse at some of the cartoon figures, and
yes.
What are your impressions right now in terms of like as Val mentioned, you didn't get those from Walmart, so what are your impressions of the figures themselves, and what are your hopes for this?
Got them from some mart. That's all I'm going to say. But I really love the cartoon figures. It's literally ripping the figures right out of the cartoon, and they finally got He-Man's head sculpt right.
Yes,
Beastman looks amazing. I can't wait for more to come. And what that means too is with the Origins cards, there's going to be more teases for figures. And so I really hope, love it. I really hope that they start doing like some deep cut figures and all that stuff. So like Demos was teased on the card art for He-Man. So I really hope they kind of go all in for this one.
They look amazing. I love the fact Toy Source is just like modeling them for us.
I know. Does this all the time, which is
You
great.
have to do the little modeling twirl.
Like
right?
she's like Vanna.
Anna White, absolutely. Oh my gosh. So you know what?
There we go. Toy Sorceress, the Vanna White of toys. I love it.
I gotta
Great
show the
stuff,
card
though.
back too.
Oh, I love the new. I love the
The
new back and forth.
color
Yes.
is just
I love
gorgeous, right?
Unpunched.
And then with the little logo on the bottom. And
the-
the funny thing is, the card back art. This is directly pulled out of the episode that Beastman's extra accessory is with.
Yeah.
That hover ray that he comes with, and he's stealing, the dragon's eggs and moving them over to this like little hovercraft, and the dragon's getting pissed off over here. But this is right out of the episode.
Absolutely.
And the Mattel's amazing team's brand new art, but it's homaged on the card back, which is
so great.
Which is incredible. So,
But I love the Filmation style Grayskull. I love the blue background. It's really changing the whole game up. It's incredible.
It tells you right here what episode it's from. This is the Dragon's Invasion.
So great.
So you can see on the top, that's the episode it is. And then it tells you, sorry, everything's backwards to me. What the extra accessory is, and that's his hover ray. So you could, if you wanted to, go and Google, that episode or pull it up on your DVD or whatever and watch it. And then you have the context to why Beastman has his hover ray. And it just makes the toys that much more fun to enjoy, because probably it could be a while that people have watched, the cartoon. And
so I have a question,
which is awesome.
I have a question that's made people mad at me.
No, really?
What is the second He-Man sword from?
Which second He-Man?
The sword of the ancients.
Yeah,
the sword of the
ancients. That one, yeah.
So
and the sword of omens.
Yeah.
So Sword of Ancients from the Mask of Powers episode.
Correct. So if you follow the mythos of the original mini comics, or actually the toys themselves, there's supposed to be two halves of the Power Sword, right?
I know that.
Now the two halves of the Power Sword never showed up in Filmation, but what they did instead was actually make it so that these two swords, right, the Sword of Power and this sword, they actually ended up joining in the episode. Spoiler. Sorry, I should have said that ahead of time.
No mask.
You've only had 40 years. I don't think you're giving them.
I know. It should be fun. All right, guys. We now have actually three people here who attended PowerCon, and I just wanted to first start by saying, finding out what everyone thought. I'll go with everybody else first. Aaron, have you ever been to PowerCon? Like, did you ever have to?
I have. With my son, there's just no way for me to attend any cons. So.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, okay, I understand. Toy Sorceress, Michael. I know you guys were planning on doing it, but unfortunately, last minute, it kind of all the plans fell through.
So what happens? No, we had major FOMO. We were actually covering PowerCon from our homes, just trying to get articles updated, new stuff that's coming out. So really appreciate all of the coverage that you had on the floor, which helped us out a ton.
There were so many toy tubers there. It was hard not to be so excited, and it was literally like a meet and greet with toy tubers. It was so much fun. As a matter of fact, Oz, the community came together to help you make your trip. What was your experience at PowerCon? Because honestly, it was something else, wasn't it?
It was a roller coaster ride from the moment I ordered my tickets, then realized there's no way I can make this actually happen. And now I've bought these tickets, and then back to, holy crap, this is happening. I got to get everything booked in like 2 weeks. But the most exciting part was the build up to that and just talking to all the amazing people that were going. I know Hella Dope Toys, the amazing guys that they were doing this Road to PowerCon series because they were going to be there. So they were inviting all of us that were going to be going to PowerCon to, jump on and talk about it a bit and really just kind of make it this amazing experience. And it really, really was incredible to finally meet so many people in person, and not just other toy tubers and stuff. I spend time with you guys each week. We talk on live streams and everything like that. We hang out. It was great for all of us to meet in person. But the other neat thing was that connection to the people who we don't get to see in a face-to-face environment. I know I finally was able to meet like Terrence St. John, who's in the chat tonight. You know, he was there hanging out with all of us, and just again, so many other people. Andrew Davis, who's also in the chat tonight. Like, that was incredible because all we ever see is like a round circle with a letter in the name or a little tiny picture that I can barely make out who or what they are. Unless it's Giraffe here, because you know that stands out. But yeah, for the most part, I mean, it was really, really that exciting trip to finally be able to meet everybody. And you just don't get all of that from a lot of these bigger conventions. I feel like there's so much going on, so many people around nonstop, and you just barely have room to move. And you know, San Diego Comic-Con, it's its thing. There's a lot of stuff going on there. You got Toy Fair, and again, it's a big, you know, more for the retailers and stuff like that. It's really cool. But you know, PowerCon felt like it was the place for us to meet on a more even level, to meet with so many toy designers too, as well, because we had Savage Crucible there, you know, Four Horsemen Studios, of course, they were there. You know, Jason Awok was able to be there. Well, Jason not himself so much, but Awok was there. And then again, still guys like, you know, from Super 7, we had Brian Flynn right there on the floor. So it's really neat to be able to, like, these are the guys that were like, we're waiting for them to drop news, like, all year long, what different toy lines they got coming up. But to be able to spend a few minutes of their time and actually get to say hello to them, I mean, that was really something.
Absolutely. Lawrence, you were there. I know you have certain feelings about the city, but what was your experience about PowerCon itself?
It was awful. They don't serve Coca-Cola there, just Pepsi. Most of the people were douchebags that I met, especially the toy tubers.
They're all a bunch of jerks, right?
All of us.
Oh,
absolutely.
totally. No, I had a great time, and I think what Oz said, like the best thing about it was just meeting people that you that you chat with all the time, and now you no longer have to say, "Oh, these are just my online friends."
Yep.
Travis and Aaron and Ted and myself, we hung out at the bar for like 2 hours. I only went there for one day. I was at Disney the week before, and I'm like four hours away, and I was just like, you know what? What's another 4-hour drive? I just drove, 22, 23 straight hours back from Disney last week. I could drive down to Columbus. Oh, I'm so glad they didn't ruin my car for having Michigan placed.
Just don't go to OSU. You'll be all right. You know?
Oh no, you're right there. Like
it's
right
close.
there.
It's close. Yeah.
Oh, it's so close. But no, I mean it was a blast, and again, I think it was really, there's no comics there, and it's obviously nothing against comics, but it was just toys, so that type of stuff wasn't cluttering the aisles and stuff like that. So you got to see a lot of the independents. Obviously, no Mattel, no Hasbro. But I think you might get a lot of that at Joe Fest too now.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But the thing. Oh, by the way, just so that just in case,
we gotta say hi.
Look who popped in. Our good friend, Toy Connections. What's going on, Ken?
Long time no see, Ken.
Yeah, all of 1 hour, and I mean, I'm waiting backstage. He puts me on camera, and the first thing I hear when I jump on the stream, and everyone's a douchebag and douchebag this. I'm like, we're off to a great start right now.
And I didn't even know you were coming on. So,
oh, I know. Otherwise, you would have doubled down on it.
That was a perfect intro for you, Ken.
Here I am meeting Val Staples for the first time, but all I want to do is troll Lawrence. You know what I mean? It's like so.
Just really showing the caliber of our nature.
Exactly.
Apparently.
One thing I have to say that I love the feeling of PowerCon. I think that both myself, Lawrence, and Oz one thing that we felt while we were at PowerCon was the sense of camaraderie that was there. You know, forget about the toy tubers. Well, please don't. But I mean,
I'm just kidding.
No, right?
Wait a second.
They're always fun. Okay, you know, and it's just the amount of people are there for the love of toys and the love of collecting and the love of gathering. The community is so unified there, and I think that's really what got me, the sense of community. You know, every time I visited a booth, somebody would just strike up a conversation with me for no reason. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be looking at something and somebody would say, "Hey, did you see that? Did you know that this was sculpted by this guy?" And like, you know, Corey Cantaloupe is over there. Do you know and you know, people were just like so generous and giving all of their knowledge, and it was just amazing. And then you would run into some of these amazing sculptors, some of these amazing creators that you know, were there as guests. You know, I met Pixel Dan for the very first time, and I literally lost my mind. I mean, he was one of the reasons why I started doing toy reviews and toy news and everything like that, right? And then meeting Shartimus Prime and all these guys, but then you know, meeting other, you know, tubers like you know, Punk with Toys, Ostermatis Toys, so many different guys. What's it called? Anyway, so many different wonderful toy tubers. Geek Dad Life, you know, it was incredible, right? But the sense of camaraderie.
The Foosh was there too, wasn't he?
Yeah. Sorry, Robo
Right?
was there.
Foosh.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. As a guest.
Toy Galaxy, I think, was there too.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yep.
Yeah. And he
Dan.
went on. And you know what? Dan went on to host what's it called?
PulseCon, yeah.
PulseCon this year. He's going places like he's honestly, that man, he can hold a conversation like crazy. Like he'll just, you get him off on a topic, he's off and running. It's absolutely insane. So
you know what else is awesome is you get to see. We've talked about this before. How tall or short people really are.
We're just like a body from the waist
It's
up.
okay, Lawrence. We all know you're short.
I'm taller than at least one person in this chat.
I know.
Okay, well,
all 5'6" of me. I feel like a giant towards something.
And gets to wear the shirt. I'm not the shortest toy tuber.
You brought up Dan
Anybody else
Larson,
wearing
and you don't
pajama
realize
pants on
how
the
tall
bottom?
he is.
he's a giant.
Yes.
He's a giant. I mean,
Me too.
I think Val, he's taller than you, isn't he? Like,
Yeah, I'm 6 foot. I think.
Who are you talking about?
It's 6.
Dan Larson,
I believe. Yeah.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
tall.
He's
He's
tall.
6'2", 6'3", somewhere
He
around
looked
that height.
tall on the streams.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, but he towered over Lenny on like Hasbro PulseCon.
Yeah, it's
I
absolutely.
mean, I'm 6'7", so you know, like, everybody's close.
You're the tallest Jew I know, Michael.
Was that even necessary?
Hey, I could joke around because I'm Jewish too.
I'm not saying. No, I'm just saying. Like,
Are you really 6'7"? I couldn't tell if that was sarcasm or not.
no, he's not.
Really, Ken?
He's
I know. It's late. It's late.
So
Or early, depending on perspective.
I just wanted to cover all that, and the reason I wanted to get everyone's perspective, you know, actually, Ken, you were not at PowerCon, but you were at Joe Fest, and I believe that both cons have a similar atmosphere. You know, but what did your experience with conventions in general? Like, what are your thoughts?
It was basically the same thing, like meeting a lot of people for the first time. Like, you know, Hooded Cobra Commander 788 is a big staple of the G.I. Joe community, right? Going there and meeting, you know, Marauder gun runners and Animal Warriors of the Kingdoms people, those folks there, right? It was just kind of a big deal. Like, you get there, in the case of Joe Fest, because the Marriott hotel that everyone stays in is connected to the convention center, everyone kind of congregates together on the Thursday night before the show. So I arrived at like 10 p.m. The lobby was just bumping, right? Now, I'm not the biggest toy tuber in the world, right? Like, I hadn't even crossed, I think I just crossed 3,000 subscribers at the time, but I walked in because I was one of the last ones to get there. They're like, oh, Ken's here, right? And it was kind of like, you know, they're like, oh, and I'm shaking hands with like 15 different people because I was really late getting there. But the point being is that would not have been possible, right, if, you know, the convention center hadn't been right next to the hotel, right? But again, it just formed that camaraderie right from the Thursday night that we got there, and that did not stop until the Sunday after we left, and getting text messages on Monday saying, I'm so happy to meet you, so happy, you know, the drinks we shared and everything like that. And that's what these conventions are about. And my understanding is, like, for those who went to Joe Fest, PowerCon's even bigger. So you kind of take that and you kind of scale it up by, whatever, by whatever factor. And it just gets more and more to the more cons you go to. So to me, it's the camaraderie first. And I got some really nice stuff at Joe Fest, but that was secondary towards meeting everybody. Meeting Sergeant Slaughter too. That was a big deal.
Ken, I want to ask. So you said you've talked to people that said that PowerCon is bigger than Joe Fest?
When I went there, right? When people like my friend Pete was there, who else? Some people in the chat. I think Andrew Davis was at both. People were said, yeah, it's that there seemed to be more people and a bigger floor at PowerCon than Joe Fest. I don't know for sure.
Like for me, I didn't think it was like that big of a convention. Like Motor City Comic Con is way bigger now. It doesn't have like the separate, toy companies there, but I thought it was actually kind of small. I thought Joe Fest was actually bigger. I was surprised at how small it seemed to me.
Which Joe Fest did you go to?
I didn't. I'm saying I just thought Joe Fest was bigger.
Oh, okay.
I know it's gonna be smaller this year, way smaller.
Joe Fest main showroom is about 40,000 square feet, and PowerCon's is 70,000. So
okay, 40,000 sounds about right, because the one we have here
is almost twice the size.
Yeah, we're not trying to compare directly.
No, and it's not because Joe Fest is an awesome show.
Yeah, no.
Size doesn't mean it. That's better.
We're just trying to get a gauge for. We're trying to gauge the atmosphere. You gotta log
one out to Silver Case. Size doesn't always matter.
That's how you use it. So yeah.
Oh God.
Exactly. But we're. I think
it was just out there. I had to do it.
It was just out there. I think Jay, what you were trying to get at is just the scope and the atmosphere of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And when I talked about the lineups, like the lineups with Joe Fest were large for Sergeant Slaughter, Action Force, and all that. But my understanding is that the Mythic Legions lineup they had was like way like around the corner out the door. Because when I was talking to people about the lineups they had at Joe Fest, they're like, yeah, but the Mythic Legions lineup was actually bigger. And I'm like, wow, like
that's crazy.
So,
like people, I remember when I got there on Saturday. I didn't get there on Friday, and people were just there for like the first thing I went to is to go see Ramen Toy. And I was like, where's like this line can't be for Ramen Toy because they just got here. And I was like, oh my God, this thing's wrapped around the block. It was for Legion. It was for the Legion comics. It was crazy. It was absolutely bonkers. The thing that I when I left PowerCon, I remember and I think here's the thing that a lot of people when I was talking with them as we were, first of all, during the convention and then after the convention. Every single person that I was there was always like, pretty much when we were, just when you meet somebody, it's usually like, hey, you know what, we'll see each other again, that kind of thing. And I always got the same response. It's like, I can't wait until we see you guys again next year. And that was always the constant thing. And everyone was so happy. And like, so you've been here a bunch of, and like, I've been here every single year. I said, even when they're in California, and a lot of people said, I won't miss PowerCon. Like that's basically the same thing that they continue to say that everyone continued to tell me if I asked them that question.
The drugs are working.
Are you piping something into the HVAC system, Val?
I coat the tickets with it, so the wristbands soaks in over the weekend. So
Timothy Hans, thank you so much for the $20 super chat, my friend. You're amazing. Hey, just showing some love, Punk. You were one of my favorite reviewers lately. We're all just punks with toys. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Lawrence is getting some love. It's all good. It's all good.
Can I plug a little project that
sure
Ken is working on? Ken's going to release an awesome history video. I think around the end of the month, right, Ken?
End of the month or end of the month or the start of next month. Yes, you can tell them what it is, and I'll flash up the thumbnail.
So Ken did an incredible history video on the 1985 A Real American Hero G.I. Joe line. I've already seen it. I think it's incredible, and I got a little piece of help collaborating a little with him in terms of voiceover. But I am very honored that Ken allowed me to be a part of it. But it is such a great piece of toy history. So Ken, I want to commend you on that. And you guys are all going to love this 1985 episode. It is like the quintessential year for. Oh,
thank you, everyone. And this is the thumbnail for it that I just
I love that.
put together.
The 84 look at those characters.
Right. the 84 video is coming out next week, and then a few weeks after that will be the 85 video. So I'm documenting every year of GI Joe. I'll try to circle back and do some MOTU as well, doing Transformers, LJN wrestling history, all the fun stuff from our youth, right? So,
I had to give you props for that, and I love
it. Thank you for all your efforts on that. Like, you were so quick on turning around the voiceover work. Like, it was like, wow, like wished every collaboration I did was like that. So
that's actually that's cool.
And you folded in like really cool like 80s pop culture into there, and just it was a work of art. So you guys look forward to that episode.
Oz, you've seen the first 5 minutes of it. I think I gave you the first clip of that. So yeah,
absolutely.
So I mean, that's really cool, Ken, but
and
sorry,
love it.
Aaron?
I'm gonna get a zinger from Punk right now.
Lawrence,
I'm just saying. I mean, that's
okay.
Really, I mean, that's really cool that you're doing something like that.
Oh, thank you. Sorry.
When is your video that Bret Hart tapped out to Shawn Michaels?
That's what I was waiting for. I'm sitting there. I'm like, he says it with such a straight face, and I'm like, I knew that was coming. But
that's because it happened.
I'm so gaslit. Right now. It's like, Survivor Series 1997 did not happen in my head the way it happened in yours. But anyway, no, thank you, Lawrence, for the kind words as well, and the zinger at the end.
And so getting back to it, guys. To echo that sentiment, I mean, a lot of people on the chat are already, saying exactly what I was saying. Andrew Davis says, "You already know, Jay. I'm with you. I'm with it. See you tonight." # say PowerCon 2024. Well hung banana hammocks. That's
God.
There we go. PowerCon
One of the best names in all of YouTube.
That is great.
It's awesome. PowerCon 2024. I hope it happens. Hopefully, the organizers let us know how we can support them. Exactly. Andrew Davis. Again, we already read that one. Ashman 55. Am I the only one thinking that there's something we do not know? PowerCon 24 might not happen, and no Toy Fair in 2024. We are curious. King Panther, Mr. J, PowerCon 2024 will be awesome, no doubt, and I will be there again. Maybe you will get asked to narrate. To narrate. I don't think so. I think Mondo and I were gonna have fisticuffs eventually again. We had a lot of fun. That they were heckling me. It was the other way around. I was supposed to heckle them. It wasn't.
Who's all getting Mondo Beastman, by the way?
Oh, don't tempt me. Oh man,
it's
so
crazy. I know Michael already did.
Terrence St. John, let's make PowerCon 2024 a real thing. Val, let's make PowerCon a real thing, even if it's not at the convention center. I just love to see all my fellow fans, vendors, and toy tubers. This keeps going on for seriously. Like, there are a lot of people in the chat who are echoing the same. Terrence is all over the place. But yeah, so this is the opportunity I think we need to talk, and I thought it was appropriate if we just discuss, because a lot of us are wondering what's happening, and you know what, it's easier if it's like, I was going to talk about it, but I think it's easier if we let Val explain what his thought process is. And here's the thing, and I do want to say this, being an organizer myself, I will say the situations you end up with, and the kinds of things you do, the negotiations you have with venues can be brutal, because sometimes somebody has a date that you want, but then they don't want to give it to you for whatever reason. Just to share a small anecdote, I had an event which we had scheduled for downtown Toronto, and it was during the year of the Pan Am Games. Let's just say that no hotel, no convention center, no one would rent us space. They literally told us, well, they said, no, we'll rent you space. And they gave us a price, which was literally, it's like a go fuck yourself price, because basically they did not want us. And boo on them, because it ended up that no one actually wanted to stay in Toronto for the Pan Am Games. So you know what? They lost a lot of money. The very next year, they were begging me to run a convention in their center. But that's just a small anecdote, and I don't blame any of the organizers. There was a whole bunch of things that happened behind the scenes around that time. But I did want to, invite Val, and I'm glad that he had time tonight to come in.
Thank you for being here.
Not to put him on a spot, but Val, what can we expect? Okay, so first of all, the reason these rumors, I just want to really just put it out there, but the reason that everyone's been asking the question, what's happening with PowerCon, is because another wonderful channel. When you guys should definitely check out this channel 100%. They did a great, they had a great panel at PowerCon this year, and wonderful toy troopers themselves. The Lords of Power podcast, amazing guys. Definitely should check those guys out. They had an interview with Val about a few weeks ago, and some of this came up. So I reached out to Val, and he basically said, maybe we should talk about it. And I thought I would talk about it tonight, and he just happened to be available. So, Val, not to put you on the spot, but
I made myself available for you, Jay. I would only do it for you. 2:00 in the morning. I'm only doing it for you.
I know. I do this every night. I apologize, Val.
I actually took a nap. I pre-gamed, so.
I took a nap too. That's why I came late. So I'm with you, man.
You guys look fresh as a daisy. I would be like passing out.
Sleep is for the weak.
Me and Michael could barely hang, and we're on the West Coast.
I know, right? You guys are all the way up. So, Val, why don't you give us a bit of a preamble and see, what's happening for PowerCon?
Sure. So you already know because I sent you the three things, and like you said, that Fans of Power episode. If I don't cover something and they want to go check it out, just search for Fans of Power, and it was like their PowerCon recap. I touched base on a few issues. Issues sounds negative, a few subjects. So the big things, like the current plan is to do a show in 2025 and not do 2024, and there's three reasons for that. I can't remember what I told you in the email.
I can bring it up if you want.
I would bring it up here, but for some reason when the screen like takes over everything here and I can't see it.
I tell you what. Let me.
I know two of the points, but I can't remember the third one. I just want to make sure it's like I'm saying it correctly.
Yeah. Let me.
You know it is.
If
you leave anything up to open to interpretation, then people will turn it into something it's not, and I have to be kind of careful. I have to walk on eggshells a little bit because I don't want to be like,
Val that never happens in the toy community. Never, right?
Okay, I've got it, Val. You can start talking, and I'll give you I'll give you a boost.
What was the first one to sum up the first one?
All right, first one to cover was attendance.
And that was like what did I talk about my investment in that one?
You did. You don't have to talk about that, though.
Okay, well, it's not a problem. That's not an issue or anything. So attendance for 2023 was more than double of 2022. Wow. And 2022 was already more than our 2021 show. And like, I know a lot of West Coasters were upset that we weren't there anymore. And I kept seeing comments all the time, come back to the West Coast. You're going to regret going to Ohio. Start planning to come back now, and it's like, I know all that was meant from a place of, positivity in their own way, wanting us to come back. And I get it. I didn't take any of the negative stuff personally, because I knew it was meant positively and like I said, in a different way. But it's doing better, but it's because we have that larger focus now on just toys and in general, like, modern toys and collectibles. And we can talk about the He-Man aspect if you want to, as to like why we're not doing a He-Man focus show anymore. But the attendance was excellent. But for myself, anybody who's been to PowerCon knows that I'm kind of like big on the details, and I invest a lot. Like I don't, most of the PowerCon shows I've never made any money because I put all the money into the show, and it's no different here. And like, trying to do something new, I'm putting everything I have into it. So I really invested heavily in 2022 and 2023. So even though the attendance was excellent, I didn't make any money. So that makes me, I need to pause for a minute, because I need to recalibrate and focus on, making sure everything fits within budgetary constraints without reducing any of the quality that people are used to. And that takes some calculation. So that's sort of the minor aspect of it, which is like, it's not preventing us from doing 2024, but the next two things I'm talking about kind of allows me to recoup and focus on some projects for 2024. Like Pixel Dan and I are working on something that needs to get out for pre-order here pretty soon. And I have some other publishing projects and things I'm working on. Well, that details on that will come soon, but I don't want to steal Dan's thunder.
One of us had to ask.
Dan's got to be the guy to reveal that one. I can't talk about that. So Dan will be like, if I say anything. So I think everybody already knows, but it's like, but after that, like the the two kickers was the dates that happened for 2024. So originally we had very similar dates for 2024 in August, like that second week. I'm trying to make the second week in August like our time frame, unless the companies come back and say they prefer something different that's in line with how they reveal product or want to talk about product or ship product, which is going to be a conversation I'm going to have with them here pretty soon. But what happened is, as Jay was talking about, like with venues, you are subject to bidding. And any convention space is always, especially like Columbus, or it's definitely Chicago. The bigger the city, the more competition there is for venue space, especially the main convention centers. And what happens is there's always so many events coming in. A lot of us, we tend to think of like events at convention centers being like, comic based or toy based or pop culture based, but there's so many other things that come in. You've got religious based events, you've got educational based events, you've got political based events, you've got all type of trade you can think of, from apparel to cars to mechanical bits for the audio, for whatever you can think of. There's all types of trade events. So there's all these people competing for space. Healthcare is another one. Like healthcare industries come in for their review seminars and things like that, and take up all types of stuff. Heck, my girlfriend is getting ready to go to an event this weekend at the Columbus Convention Center about hair. It's like the salon industry and that sort of thing. So I mean, there's all types of stuff that take place.
Yeah, and you're also a college town. So I mean,
yes.
like there are tons of conferences that happen there all the time. So.
Exactly. Yeah, and they it's like, because of that, they're smaller, but there's a lot of them so they kind of cannibalize all the space that's available in different ways. So and I know that sounds negative. I didn't mean it that way, but it's something where you can reserve a spot, but if somebody comes along that's got more money to put down, they're going to win. Because what happens is, it's not just about the convention center saying, hey, we're going to make more money. It becomes available. There's a number of city officials or a city board that also reviews citywide events, because events that come in specifically to the convention center bring in additional commerce to the town. So if somebody comes in and they're going to bring 20,000 people, and they're going to take up 3 halls of the convention center, they're going to take up 2,000 rooms in the hotels. Well, that's going to get preferential treatment to the hotels, but it's also going to get preferential treatment to the area business, because they bring more money for retail shopping, for food services, for restaurants. So all of that gets considered by the city, and they're going to lean towards the person that brings in the most money. And so that's what happened to us. A long-winded story, but I figured some people might want to know how that works. And so we got bumped into the only available date that still remained, which was it Labor Day? Is it Labor Day weekend? Yes, is that right? The last weekend of September. And this all took place very quickly. Like, I was in the middle of PowerCon when we found out we got bumped. It was like a month before the show. And I was scrambling, and I none of us were thinking this is Labor Day, but it was the only slot available, so we took it. And then when I was at the show, when we were handing out the re-up forms to the vendors, I was looking at the date, and I was like, oh no, we can't do Labor Day. That's a death date. It's not only is Dragon Con that weekend, which a lot of some of our vendors and stuff will go there. Like Dragon Con is one of the few shows that's been able to take a weekend like that and make it work. But we have like toy companies, and a lot of the guests, they've got things going on. They can't come on Labor Day. They're off. People from their company are off, or they're spending time with family, or they already made plans to do other things. And on top of that, it's a lot the same way for attendees. They have doing things with travel or with family, and they don't really want to come to a convention. So Labor Day is historically a very difficult weekend to make a convention happen. Some people have tried and succeeded, but many do not. And I don't want to be somebody that comes in and risks that going south, already knowing a number of people cannot attend. So the problem is because we found out so late in the game that we got bumped, which kind of stinks that we got told so late. There aren't many options available anymore, because other people have already. I'll give you a crappy analogy. I mean, all this is pretty apparent, but like when I was in grade school, we would have like our annual plays, right? And it's a stupid little Pied Piper or whatever it was, and I always would try out for the lead role, and I would never get it. But because I tried out for the lead role and everybody else already auditioned for the roles, there were no other roles left. So I ended up having to go down to playing like some bit part in the background every time we did a play. And so like when you shoot for something and you're settled in there for it, everybody else is picking off all the other dates for convention spots. And then when you need to find something, you've got nothing to pick from. Yeah. And so that's where we're at. And so we have good dates for 2025 currently reserved. Hoping we don't get bumped on that. But there's no space in Columbus that is big enough for the show the size it is. We're in a weird spot. We're just big enough to fill up one hall of a convention center, but way too big to be in a hotel. And that's a bit of a sticking point for us to be able to make it work.
So I've asked a potentially ignorant question here, Val, not to cut you off, but just because I think someone may be thinking about it, is what are the chances, like, if someone was to ask you straight up, oh, what about just going back out west and getting a big convention center there or something, like, because you started out west? I just figured throw that out there. Ken,
you read my mind.
I read your mind? Okay.
Yes, you did.
There's an issue with that, which is if we went back to the West Coast, we now make it difficult for so many people that found it convenient for their companies to come to the Midwest to not be able to do it, because a lot of these indie companies that are coming out are based in Midwest and also on the East Coast. So it becomes a higher expense for them and not as realistic to be able to do. And it's the same sort of thing with venues there over in Los Angeles and going to Anaheim or the surrounding areas. They tend to start reserving their space about 16 months or drafting contracts about 16 months out, but definitely 12 months out. And we're already past that point. So to like do something in the same spot for next year, we got a 10-month lead time. We'd just be picking at what's available. We're sort of out of the system, so we no longer have preferential treatment anymore because we no longer have a seasoned show there that has been experience already, like in Anaheim. We kind of get bumped to the bottom. So it's I think logistically it would not be easy to do. And I think it sends also a very mixed message. I think some people would perceive that as, oh, Ohio didn't work out, so they're coming back to the West Coast, when in fact Ohio has worked out quite well. So it's something where I'm not trying to cheat anybody out of a show, especially the West Coasters. But it's something where we want to have a consistent message about where we're having this venue and how we're doing the show and where it takes place. So I think that's important. But nothing ignorant about that question at all. It's very valid.
We're getting a whole bunch of comments, and obviously a lot of them come down to to
locale,
individual state, right? So
sure.
Michael Blobay says, to hold PowerCon in a neighboring state such as Pennsylvania.
This area is really interesting. The Midwest is surprisingly a big mecca for toy shows. There's a ton of toy shows from small to large that take place in Ohio, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, and the Pennsylvania state area. It's kind of crazy. In Pennsylvania in particular, around Pittsburgh, there's a lot of stuff going on there. So I think we'd be just kind of trading one thing for another in terms of like competing for space and trying to find something. In fact, I also have to be careful where I don't want to, whenever you set up a new show, you run the risk of upsetting people who already have a footing there. And that happened with us here with one show. I want to have good relations with everybody. I don't want to compete with everybody. I view toy shows as kind of like shopping. It's like saying you can only go to one toy show a year is kind of like saying you can only go to Walmart, Target once a year. It's like, you'll always need to buy stuff. You'll always be looking for things. Every weekend's a different experience. So, there's always that opportunity. So you can have 3 or 4 toy shows coexist in a city and be great. But I like there was one show here, and I'm not going to mention names, that just to this day is not happy we're here, and have not been able to make any inroads in trying to build a relationship there, whereas everybody else has been very cool. I don't want to risk that same situation of going to another city, trying to set up stakes temporarily and maybe ticking off somebody there, especially if we're only there for like 1 year, it gets risky when you do that. You know, it's some people fear a loss of momentum if we skip a year, but PowerCon has skipped shows in the past, skipped years in the past, and we've not had any issue with it. Plus, there's other shows out there that are biannual. They like Power Morphicon, for example, and that hasn't affected their attendance, whatever.
I didn't realize they were biannual. For some reason, I just assumed that they were annual.
I think a lot of people assume that they are an annual show, but no, it's Scott does it every 2 years.
Wow.
You know, it's like I think D3 also used to be biannual. I think they might be annual now. But there's other shows that do that. So it's but I mean it's all valid positions, you know, like why not explore another venue, another state, you know, worried about skipping a year. I definitely understand why people are making the suggestions and you know, voicing them, you know.
It sounds like you're considering doing maybe a smaller regional meetup or something like that anyway, right? So
thinking about it, it just depends again on what's available and how we're going to do it. I would definitely label it as sort of a placeholder without saying the word placeholder, because I don't want it to sound like it's lesser than, but I also don't want people to think that PowerCon got smaller all of a sudden. So it's something where we have to be very careful about that. It's if I call it like the PowerCon special or something, it might be something fun with that.
Absolutely. I mean, there are a lot of people there are a lot of people who agree with the decision. Giraffe says, "I love the show being in Ohio because I won't need to go to Cali."
Well, California is awesome. I mean, I love California.
Absolutely. I know two people who are really happy it was in California, but you know, for Lawrence, myself, and Oz, I mean, like it's not that bad to just take a few hour drive. You know what I mean? So Christopher Wirtz says, "I love the show being in Ohio since I live in Columbus area."
Oh well,
you know what I mean?
Of course, it's right in his backyard.
And Chris is like, "Come to Chicago, please, Chicago."
Well, that was originally where we were thinking about going when we did this, but it just proved to be cost prohibitive. Chicago is a union town, and
oh God.
So you know what I'm talking about.
Oh my God!
So the costs get out of control really fast in a union.
Can you move this box? Can you move this box, please? Let me get my manager on that.
That's what it is. And then
it's after hours, so the rates are double.
Yeah,
that's right. Let me read chapter 4 of the union agreement right now.
Forget about 3 o'clock. Like nothing's done. It's the
prevailing wages. Sorry, that's from instruction.
I'm surprised. How does Kane County get it done? You know what I mean? So
well, I don't know with fairgrounds how the union comes into play there. Fairgrounds tend to be a little more Wild West, I should say, in terms of their operations.
That's true, because they're not a hotel, they're not a convention center.
Yeah, exactly.
I got you.
I mean, the venue literally like 2 weeks prior was basically a barn for horses. You know, and that's not a knock. That's what those facilities are for. They serve agricultural purposes and things like that. And so there's a lot of that there. So a lot of those facilities aren't set up to have the comforts or the options that you would find in a convention center. A lot of them are sort of a bare bone operation. Some of them don't even have like heating or air inside of them. You know, and it's like the price is amazing, but you get what you get for that price.
Yeah.
So a fairground is just not a place that I would want to go, because it doesn't represent how I want to present PowerCon.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. No heat. You could make PowerCon little fans that blow mist like Disney and sell them for like $50 each.
Could you imagine having all
these have that for free? You have that idea.
Well, it's like, I mean, that's Kane County is like in shows like that. They've made that work because what they're giving you is a genuine sort of toy hunting show experience. You go in there, these vendors are not paying a ton for money, so you get this crazy array of vendors, from like Uncle Joe with what he pulled out of his closet to the biggest toy shop in the state coming out, and so it's an amazing array. But it has a little bit of a flea market feel to it, which is great. It's great for shopping. It's a great shopping, but a lot of companies don't want to set up and like that kind of thing, because they need the amenities that will come with like a hotel setting or a convention center setting. You know, it's like, so.
I have to agree, because one thing I did notice. So actually, going back to your point, Lawrence, is that with Joe Fest, for example, I watched several walkarounds, and one of the things you notice at Joy Fest is that everything's like tight. It's actually really, really tight, very similar to a regular toy show, right? The hours are actually very, very small. That feels forgive the term, as Val said it, but it does feel a little bit flea market-ish, right? Like I make jokes about certain conventions all the time, like literally it's just a swap meet. You know what I mean? There are certain aspects of that, but one of the things I loved about PowerCon was how it felt, even though it had this small con feel where we were all like, it's almost like all of us were in the same community. We all sort of knew each other from afar, and even perfect strangers would come in and just like have a conversation with you. What I really also liked was the corporate aspect of it, in terms of like all of they were all booths. They weren't just like, little tables in corners and everyone's like got all their stuff even on the floor. You know what I mean? There was a certain style to it, and what really set it apart in a lot of ways was the yellow and white banners everywhere. I was like, wow, this is like
that's our color. Yeah,
this is corporate branding, right? This is branding like to the T. And I was like, okay, if you take pictures of PowerCon, everyone's like, okay, where's that? Because everyone will recognize those banners look familiar, and they'll just keep. It's just that memory jogging. You know what I mean? But
we definitely want it to be identifiable. I mean, and I'm sure everyone here does too. I mean, I love those types of shows, like the ones that take place like in the expos and the you know what I'm saying, like Kane County and the fairgrounds. That's what I'm trying to say. What Rob and Danielle have done with the Xenia Toy Show, or the Columbus Toy Show in Xenia, they're going for that same vibe, and it's amazing. That show is incredible, and it's not, like you said, it's not a corporate type thing. It's more of a a toy hunt, toy fun, fine type shopping experience, which is what they were building. And so like I have zero anything against that, because like I love those shows too. I'm just not what I'm trying to build. I'm trying to build that branded sort of corporate identifiable type convention experience where the companies are there and it has those amenities and type things. So it's just a different type of show, and the one's not necessarily better or worse than the other. It's just a different type of show.
Well, Ryan Ventek wants you to bring PowerCon to Europe for 2024. Hashtag PowerCon tour.
I've been surprised at how many people have asked us over the years if we will come to their country, especially Canada. And there is no way. There's no way in heck I'm crossing international borders to do a show.
It's hard enough just to cross as a vendor, let alone as an organizer. So as much as I wish it was up here,
it's
Val.
You know what? We can make that happen, but it again, there are other ways to do it. But all I'm saying is, I understand the logistics alone are just a nightmare. I know exactly what Val's going through. But Michael, you were going to say something?
I was going to say, like, I've been listening to Val, and just the way that he talks about the attendee experience is music to my ears. Because like I do research and do user research for the last 23 years, and we're all about making things great for the people that use our products or the people that visit these events. And so I really commend you on just focusing on it's the finer things, and that sets you apart from other venues. There are other people that might not think about that stuff, and they're all.
But as you know, it also depletes the wallet in the process.
I bet.
It's the extras cost that it's something that we hope to build on. I mean, I wish. Don't let me forget that the third point, which I've already forgotten. Yeah, it's but Jay's muted. I would love if we still.
Do you want it now or later?
Well, if I don't want to cannibal. I mean, I don't want to monopolize the show. But it's
well, this don't get me wrong, Val, but this is the show. Like we were here to talk about PowerCon, so we might as well talk about PowerCon.
I just don't want to bore. It's like Punk's over there, like he's ready to punch me. Like, I'm tired of this guy talking.
Yeah, I'm glad he's looking at you like that, and not me.
That's a normal face.
Right.
The sandwich you're in right now is like dying for this information, because they're going to want to talk about it.
I mean,
Sorry,
I would
Laura.
love to have the show.
Do tell, Val.
Because I mean, it's
me and Mike
driving.
Sorry, Lawrence. Good.
I love to have the show there again. Listen, I'm a Michigan fan. All right, so I don't want to go to Columbus. The fact that it's like 3.5 hours away from me, you know, I love it, and it sucks. And I didn't mean anything when I said like.
Oh no, I knew you were messing around. I didn't.
And I didn't mean anything when I said like I thought it was going to be bigger. I mean, I've gone to Motor City Comic Con here in Michigan.
That's a great show.
It's huge, and I thought it was going to be big like that.
Oh, gotcha.
But you don't have Artist Alley, you don't have all the comics, and I love the fact that you could walk through it and not feel like you're bumping into every single person.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm hoping it'll be like that one day, but it's
yeah.
I don't think it'll ever be like most shows are not congested like that. They're not a lot of the I would say a lot of we call them autograph shows where there's a lot of celebrities. Those can tend to be a bit congested because a lot of average J and J,
average J's.
Yeah, exactly. They come out and
average Mega J's, average Geek Dad Life J's, average Jay Bartlett's, average Blue Jays. Oh,
well, that's the kind of
that was a good one, Ken.
Oh my
God! It's like they've seen like the superhero movie or something, and they see a celebrity and they come check it out, and that's a great experience. But it's like you're never going to get that kind of audience pull. It's like so many just random people coming to see what it's about. We're very focused, so. We're never gonna, I don't think, ever have very congested. Even though like Joe Fest and Toylanta, I think have done a really good job building an amazing attendance. Like some of those, sometimes those aisles can get pretty crowded. But I think it just takes time. A lot of people wait and see, like what you do. Like when we moved, like from 2022, a lot of people watched because they wanted is this gonna last? Is this gonna work? And then a lot of people, I think, missed out on it and saw the fun, so then they came this year, and then there's a lot more people out this year. They're like, crap, well now I definitely have to come next time, which makes me very happy to hear. But it just takes time. You have to build confidence in the minds of a lot of people,
and it is hard to get a venue that big, right? Because one of my first thoughts, other than moving it back west, was like, well, maybe go to the same convention center as like a TF Con or a Joe Fest or something. But if the convention hall is not the same size, if it's not the same configuration, what do you do about the vendors? What do you do about the guests? So I guess there goes that idea, right?
Well, another option potentially might have been to go to down to Cincinnati. Cincinnati's convention center is about half the size of Columbus's, but I was kind of looking into there, and there's some logistical issues in terms of just proximity to things. Because I love Cincinnati, but that I don't think that would have been a realistic option either. So it's tough. It's tough to make something like. I don't want 20, but I don't want people to feel like 2024 like something bad happened. It's just I mean, some things did happen that weren't great, but it wasn't like the sky isn't falling.
There wasn't a nefarious reason for it.
No, and it wasn't like the theory that Mattel is behind it. Like Mattel's not behind it. Like they're not trying to do something. And I would like to talk about why we're not doing He-Man anymore, if you guys don't already know. Sure. But what was that third thing, Jay?
Let me take a look here. You talked about the dates, or which were death, and you did but we've covered it already basically. Number 3, I think you want to go back to number 2 because number 3 you've covered everything. You've covered the dates. You've covered Dragon Con. You've covered Labor Day, and the fact that you skipped a year before. What you want to go back to, I think, is more time to plan for exclusives.
Oh yes, thank you. So when you do exclusives, the bigger the company, the more lead time they need. Companies like Hasbro and Mattel need a lot of lead time. It's if we go back years ago, Scott Knightlick was online talking about how there's about a 24-month period when doing exclusive, because it would have to go into planning, and then once it's approved, then it gets listed into the line, and line get a SKU, and then it goes into sculpting and that sort of production. Then it has to go into overseas factory production. Then they have to have a 2-month shipping window for coming over from the factory to the United States. So it's a really, really long process, especially for bigger companies that are constantly putting things into production and lining them up and finding a place for them there, because they have to keep that engine going. the smaller you get, the more leeway you have, and like the indie companies have a little more leeway, but still not that much. They need ideally at least a year to get that done, simply because the factory, the factories that they work with in some instances are not as okay. I heard some really weird noise outside my window. I don't know what that was. There was
Chupacabra.
Someone hunting for PowerCon exclusives apparently because they heard
It's
the words.
Mattel.
So.
Odds are it's a
Right.
skunk is what concerns me more.
I was going to say, do you have animals out there?
Yeah, it's we're in the city, and still I'm surprised how many raccoons and skunks are running around all over the place. So they need more time, and like 12 months for any company I think is pushing it, because they have to check product samples and make sure everything's okay, and go into revisions and check the paint samples, and then allow time also for shipping for them, and they have to also, everything is going to go onto a boat container. They're going to share a container with somebody. Otherwise, they have to air freight it. Air freighting is so expensive and would kill an indie company if they had to air freight everything over.
Yeah. Just on that same note, when I attended the Action Force panel at Joe Fest, one of the things that was said was that they almost did not clear customs, and they got there like the day before the show, the exclusive, and he had someone else go and receive it. And with those exclusives, that even assumes that these companies can get the factory time, right? Because you go into a queue with every factory production run. Even if you say, "Oh, but my tooling is done, I just want to repaint." Okay, but we got this company and this company and this company's like, "Yeah, but I need it in 6 months for the thing." Well, the factory shut down for Chinese New Year and all that stuff.
Yeah,
There's
that's
just
another
so many
big
logistics.
Ken, he won't have that problem this year.
Okay. But no, that's spot on. Yeah.
That was the silent the keep it quiet kind of.
Yeah, it's like now I want to know. But yeah, that's spot on. Exactly what you said. And it's if we allow and to go back to it, I mean, that happened to us. The Fwish glow in the dark skeletons got stuck in customs.
Oh, no.
They could not get them released. They were there, but I felt so bad for those guys, because I was privy to the emails, and they were running them through the ringer, like on the questions and stuff that they were asking the Fwish to release it. And we're like, what is going on? Like, why are you asking these questions? These are so weird, and they were like treating the product like almost like it was contraband or something. It was really strange. It was very bizarre. So those didn't get released in time. And the other ones that didn't make it were the statues from Tweeterhead, because
oh god,
yeah, they didn't make it in time. They got stuck in a container in China and just sat there.
Oh,
Yeah, and they didn't even put him on the boat. Like, they're supposed to be on the boat, and they didn't even get put on the boat. So just weird stuff happens. Like, we're still waiting on we got Minion, but we're still waiting on Merman to show up. So that still hasn't shown up.
wow.
So this weird stuff like that happens. But by having another year, like having a year to skip, it allows us to front load. So we can start planning with like I wish I could say more, but it's the companies that are required more time to get that 2025, and then pending they still want to do 2026, in 2024 we start planning our 2026 exclusives, and you keep that going. So by skipping a year, ideally it allows us to keep going. The only downside is if some new company comes in and they want to do an exclusive, that then hopefully that'll happen. What you'll see is probably them be there for a year, and then maybe nothing again. Then finally they have something, because they have that same lead time prepping issue that they have to consider when they come to a different show. So it's just there's a lot of moving parts, and it's not as easy as just making a couple phone calls and emails and it's done. There's always things going on that have to be taken care of, and it really bums me out too, because like I said, the attendance, when I went back and looked at it to see that it had more than doubled, I was just thrilled. I was thrilled to see that.
Terrence actually has a funny little. First of all, thank you, Terrence, for the $5 super chat. You said Scott's name, and he appeared outside the window. Beware the specter, praying for you, Val.
The con is ending. The con is ending.
I have no issues with Scott. It's like people give that guy a hard time, and to each their own. It's like I understand why some people are giving him grief about things he said, but not butted heads with Scott back in the time when Classics was around. But at the end of the day, like he did provide a lot of necessary things to make things happen for Classics while he was there. And he deserves some credit. I mean, I can't defend him on some of the things he said, but that's his business. But in terms of just what he contributed to Classics, he did a lot. So,
did you work with Scott at all during your time? Like, he was like, you were doing the comic just before he started with Classics, right? Wasn't that the case, or was
no? I didn't. He came in way after I was done with like 2000X and everything. Like Scott came in. He was a copywriter at Mattel for about a year. I forgot if it was on Hot Wheels or what he was copywriting. I don't think it was Hot Wheels. And then he moved over. Like he was ambitious. Like he would see an opportunity, he would go for it, and that's how we got in there to work on that stuff. But I think he came on right as like the Four Horsemen were pitching that 2007. I think Scott was in there about 2008, I think, and we were not doing any licensing or anything with Mattel at that point. So
it's just going back on your history. Is there any possibility that they'll be making an anthology of the Image comics anytime soon? Is that a possibility?
I don't think I'm out of line by talking about this. So that actually is a conversation that I had with Dark Horse years ago when we were doing the books. But they never pulled the trigger on doing that. It was supposed to be a collected volume of all the comics, of the Marvel, Star, the DCs, the Image ones. Yeah, all that leading up to the current stuff, which I think there was at the time, there's sort of an embargo on it where it was like all the DC stuff was going to, and they did. Remember, they put that in like that omnibus collection. So that was stuff. So, but the Dark Horse, like we already did those in the mini comic, like the Dark Horse ones. So that was something that was planned, loosely planned. It wasn't like scheduled or anything, but it never moved forward. So I don't know. I mean, if they still want to do it, we have most of the assets for it. So, we had already started going in and taking the Star comics and, doing the restoration process on it, but we stopped pretty early on because it just never, progressed very far.
Is there any chance for you picking up that storyline at all? Because, I think a lot of people really like that version because not that the current versions aren't any good. Because I love where all the new books are going, right? But I mean, I think that a lot of people are still interested in 2000X. You know what I mean? Like,
you mean like continuing it?
Yeah.
Yes.
I very, very much.
I don't know. I think for Mattel, they've, like once they have put something to bed and moved on to something new, they're not going to go backwards. And then like, for me personally, I mean, I really liked what Rob David and Tim Seeley have done with the comics, and I was personally an advocate of the multiverse aspect of it because we as fans always knew that He-Man had different chronology.
But see, that's exactly what I'm saying with the multiverse.
Oh,
right?
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like there's an avenue where Skeletor can actually phase into another verse and see what's happening on there, or there's trouble in 2000X land or something like what I mean.
I mean, I think it would be fun. I mean, Emiliano and I had a pretty robust story.
That was an homage, Superman versus He-Man.
Very nice. Well, DC Comics presents. There you go.
Yeah, and now Emiliano's doing a lot of work with so many different companies, right? So I mean, like he's Mondo. He's doing work with Mondo. He's doing work with so many different companies, and
he's so busy. I mean, he's crazy busy. Trying to do his own company while also juggling all his other projects. I mean, the guy is like, I just literally was chatting with him the other day. He's got so much. Like, it's just, I mean, good for him. Kudos to him to have accomplished all that. But I mean, I'd be open to it, but I just don't know if Mattel would want to.
Well, I mean, literally, we're seeing brand new Masterverse figures for 2000X.
That's true.
And even MOTU figures for 2000X. You know what I mean? So the door is there, is what I'm trying to say.
And I really feel personally as a fan that Masterverse has hit its stride. Like I was not really leaning on the first wave or two of them, but now they're like firing on all cylinders as far as I'm concerned. So they just exactly. So I mean they
I have not opened this.
There you go. I mean all of a sudden like
Masterverse invades.
They just started like I don't know, just hitting it out of the park. I don't know what happened, but
On that note, then Val, would you be interested in penning a new Eternia line? Like, is that something that you'd be interested in? Because is there a new Eternia Bible? Is a media source coming out for that? Like, is it like, could there be something? Because they got this thing called New Eternia, and there are no mini comics associated. There's really nothing with it. I mean, like, what's going on with it?
The dream I always had, believe it or not, I think I've talked about this publicly. The one thing I really always wanted to do is I wanted to be the lead Nordling for new mini comics. Like when Classics came out, that's actually what I was angling for the most. I wanted mini comics for it, and I wanted to produce them. Hire the writers, hire the artists, do what I had done with the 2000X comics, which is reach out, bring in more fans, give them opportunities to stretch their legs, kind of like Lee did with Bruce Timm and like the people that he brought in to work on these mini comics back in the day, who at the time were kind of nobodies and nobody really knew about. I wanted to do that same thing, but like that never happened, and they're doing mini comics now, and they've got a team, and they're very happy with with whatever they're doing. So I mean, kudos to them. So that would probably be the people, if there was like a new Eternia type thing, that would be pinning it and doing it.
Yeah, there's so many opportunities, and that's actually one of the reasons why I think PowerCon is so successful, because you really have this, again, indie kind of vision. You know what I mean? And like, you're one of the examples of how bringing fans in to actually do the book and create the material has really been a huge success in many ways. You know what I mean? So I guess a lot of people are just, as always, the people who missed it want to go. The people who went are now like, God damn it. We were just there. You know what I mean? It's just absolutely crazy. One thing I did want to ask, though, and again, this is just something out of left field. PAX is a convention, a video game convention. You probably know them very well.
PAX East and PAX
West. But here's the question now. They have PAX East, they have PAX West, right? And this is an opportunity. Like, this is something where I think some people are asking it already. Would there be an opportunity later down the road to maybe do something East Coast and then West Coast, or maybe even, as a lot of people mentioned, something up here north? Now, you already said you don't want to cross the border, but again, there are avenues on ways that can be mitigated.
Well, there's a big difference there. Whereas, like, PAX West, for example, has a projected attendance of 120,000 people.
Sure.
They had the room to grow. Like, they could be like, okay, let's do offshoots. We would have to. I think we'd have a ways to go before we could even explore branching off and doing another show. Like, we'd have to prove out, and I would only be comfortable exploring something like that if we have about 4 times the attendance that we had this past year. Sure. We need to get into a comfort zone and build something that people want to have in other places. And at the same time, to go back to what I was saying before, we also people may already be satisfied with something they already have in their area, kind of like going back to Joe Fest or Toylanta down in Georgia, or it's like the different area shows. Like, I don't want to step on intentionally step on somebody's toes.
Yeah, and there's the thing, right? The impact that it has with other local events and the footprint.
I don't ever. I mean, some people are very, very competitive by nature, and they're like, we're coming in to dominate. We're going to crush this other show. I don't. I believe in coexistence.
Yep.
And like, I never want to negatively impact. I definitely don't intend to if we've ever done that. But it's like, I don't want that. I don't want to ever go someplace and it be negative for a beloved local show.
Sure. If it's not too early, is there anything you can tell us about 2025 at all? If you've already sort of had enough, like, because sometimes things get themed.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like some sort of ideas that you are looking to in the future, or guests that you might want to invite. So maybe even let's do it this way, because I know there's very, very rarely do you actually have any plans this far out. But is there any sort of dream guest you'd like to show up at PowerCon one day?
Dream guest?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Michael.
Yes, Michael. It's like, that's who I was going to invite out. You got the big toy habit steaming on the whole show and everything. It's
you can play the theme song while we come out.
I've always wanted entrance music, so there.
I was gonna say that's gonna be your ring entrance. Yeah, you got to come down.
Oh yeah, the ring. Absolutely.
What's gonna be your finisher, Michael? What are you gonna do?
Bret Hart's is available.
I can pull it up. I can pull it up right now.
No, he already has a tag team partner. Hey,
Poor
That's
Brett,
right.
man. That guy
We're-
is one of the
we're a
best
mixed
technical
tag team.
wrestlers of all time, an amazing
Yeah.
wrestler. But man, he complains a lot these days, doesn't he? It's like
Thank you.
He's
All he
old-
does is
old.
whine, like, get
Now,
over it. All right.
I wanted to ask a question.
I mean, I get
And
it.
I
You know,
think
he's got
it's
every right to
great.
complain, but yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So obviously PowerCon in the past has been extremely MOTU centric, right? That was the theme of PowerCon. I love that it's blossomed into this really cool, more centered on independent toy companies. I think it's fantastic because it allows all these independent companies to showcase their new products, and they have so much incredible stuff. But can we ask like how that transition happened? Because
Sure.
it's really interesting that it's kind of shifted focus.
It was weird. So we always knew, like when we started PowerCon, I mean, believe it or not, I mean, I called it PowerCon because the word power isn't unique to just He-Man. You know, it's like like it's a word that can apply to it, but can also apply to other brands out there. And Jeremy,
forum, right? So yeah,
exactly. So Jeremy, I just noticed the glasses that Ken put on. I just like caught that all of a sudden. Like, where'd that come from?
Where's your belt, Ken?
And I can't see without my real glasses, so we'll just leave it with the best there. We'll just take the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be glasses off for now.
The best there ever will be. Oh man, we don't want any sharpshooters from you tonight, sir. So it was interesting because like I went into it creating it with the potential to be more than any one brand. And like I said, Jeremy DeWitt put together a great video that showcased that. Like it showed power and how it was used in so many different instances. But you know, we have a love for He-Man, and we were happy to have a focus on it. And we did the show in 2011, 2012, 2013. We added in Turtles. And after that, I realized like a show like this that's individually brand focused will not thrive without some sort of exclusive support. So after 2013, believe it or not, the shows weren't doing well enough in Los Angeles to continue. And a lot of people don't know that. Like the attendance was good if it had been a much smaller venue, and that's my fault because I always shoot for more, and I was investing a lot into it, and I could not continue to invest what I was investing for the type of show I was putting on with the attendance we were getting. So we said, all right. I was like, I'm essentially done at this point, but let's go ahead and try New York because I talked about doing New York, and I forewarned fans ahead of time. I said, look, if we try New York, Mattel's probably not going to make it. Tickets are going to be more exclusive, more expensive. We're going to have fewer guests because so many are in California. But we'll try it. And sure enough, as we were going along, it was clear it was not going to do well.
Yeah.
The vendor interest wasn't there. The tickets were not selling. So I pulled the plug on it before it got too bad. And after that, I went to Mattel and I told them, I said, look, just a heads up. I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. We've asked for exclusive support. We need that to do a show that's focused on these particular brands. So unless you offer it to us, I'm done. And I sent that email as a last gasp because I was like, all right, they're just going to write back and say, well, go stick it up your rear end. We don't care. And they didn't. It was, I believe it was Mark Morse that wrote back and said, wait, let's talk. And we talked. And next thing I know, they lined up exclusives for us to have which became the 2016 exclusives. And that allowed us to grow the show and invested things in there and to make it what it was. And then Super 7 came in 2017, 2018, and then the license went back. And Mattel came in there, and Mattel, and this sounds negative. I don't mean it negative. Mattel is, they're very controlling over what they want to do. They have a particular vision, a particular direction, what they want to do. And with 2016 with Mattel, we had input on what we were going to do. Like, this is what we need for exclusives. We think this will work. This won't impact your bottom line. And that's what we did. With 2017, 2018, we were able to do the same thing with Super 7. Brian and Josh were real cool about it. They let us propose what we want to do. We went through part reuse. We did creative refreshes, and we created exclusives that we felt would sell really well as lower run exclusives. With 2019, Mattel came to us and said, This is what you get or nothing. And it's like, oh, okay. So we no longer have any input on exclusives, and that's because they had a specific direction on what they wanted to do. So it's either, you this is what we can give you, or we can't give you anything. So it's like, okay, I guess that's what we're doing. We're doing that. So we had some classics there, and the She-Ra. I think there was the She-Ra 12-inch variant. I forgot what else we did in 2019. And 2020, I believe. I don't even remember anymore. Was that Origin stuff?
Well, actually,
I don't remember.
We wrote a whole article chronicling all of the PowerCon.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
So you know better than me. Yeah.
Michael,
I know because I used it as show notes for a podcast one time. So thank you.
I think 2020 was all the Origin stuff, like the Horde, the Horde 4-pack, and
2020 pack.
Yeah. Oh, is that one? And then 2021 was
when it got stuck on the container and it didn't make it to the show.
Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah, good times. So, yeah, it was, but that was it. And then what they were doing something. And I always preamble a lot because I'm always worried that people will take something I'm saying and twist it into a negative. I don't want anybody to do that because it's like business is business. Mattel is a very complex engine. There's a lot of gears going. I'm not privy to what's going on there. I don't know why they make some of the choices they do. There's reasons beyond my pay grade that I will never be privy to. And I have to trust what they're doing because there's a reason. Even though sometimes those choices may be frustrating, there's a reason. And so like they were I let them know. I was like, look, we're trying to develop this and build it. We need to be able, kind of like when you license something as a licensee, like you do a comic book or you do apparel or you do stickers or whatever it is, licensing agreements tend to be 3-year contracts that allows the person to be able to do a forecast, to plan for a launch, to plan their product accordingly, to be able to know how to target the different saturation that they want, to be able to not do too much, but to be able to accomplish enough that generates enough profit to make the license worthwhile in a period of time. So with the convention, I went to Mattel and told them something very similar, which is, we're trying to build something here. We're trying to get to a place with the show. So I'd really, they wanted to enter into an agreement. And I said, well, I'd like this to be at least a 3-year agreement. And then the agreement came back and it was an annual contract. And I said, okay. I was like, well, that worries me a little bit because that means I don't know what's going to happen next year. So it's very hard for us to build something. They said, well, will we revisit this for 2020? So 2020 came along and it was another annual contract. And I was like, okay. I was like, look, you must have a reason for doing this, but keep in mind, again, I'm trying to build something. I'm trying to build to what you're doing. It would be nice to be privy to what your plans are so I can plan around it so we can build specifically to where you want to go with what you want to do. And they wanted to do that, but I guess, for some reason it didn't pan out that way. So 2021 comes along and it's another annual contract. and so I 2021 was well into what was going on. And we got to pre-sales. And pre-sales took place, I want to say it was April of 2021. It was sometime around that, April, May, something like that. And right after it, I went back to Mattel with the department we had to work with. And I said, okay, I really want to do this right. And we really want to plan accordingly. But the annual contracts have us very nervous because we can't invest in making this right, doing it annually like this, because we're always have to just kind of hope and pray that we can do something. I was like, if I have 3 years, we can shoot for different guests, we can shoot for how we're going to escalate like what we have at the show, how we're going to expand it, those sort of things. And they came back, and that's when they told me, well, unfortunately, we can no longer give you action figure exclusives. And I said, well, guys, I was like, so you not only can you not do a long-term contract, but you can't even give me exclusives. I said, I can't do a He-Man show. And they're like, well, we want you to do a He-Man show. Like, we can give you other things. I was like, well, what can you give me? And they said, well, we can give you other items. I was like, well, for example, what? And they're like, well, t-shirts. And I said, look, I was like, that's cool. I was like, I'm sorry. I could never sell enough of different types of t-shirts to get close to the profit from one action figure.
Yeah.
It's like there's just no way. I can't generate enough residual income to supplement the show. It needs to be done. And I said, is there anything we can do? Can you go back? Can we talk about it, trying to work it out? And unfortunately, the answer was still no. And I was never given a clear reason as to why. Basically what I pieced together on my own is that it was because they really were focusing on Mattel Creations. They really wanted to build that as a brand hub, have people come there for news, for exclusives, for, I guess, potentially like streaming events they were going to do. And I said, well, I'm sorry guys, but I can't do it. I can't do a He-Man focused show without it. And they said, well, we understand. We wish we could, and we wish you the best. And that's when we're like, okay. So we hit the ground running immediately before the 2021 show even happened in Anaheim, and we were already planning it to be in Columbus as originally Chicago, as a multifaceted toy show. And it was kind of sad for me because no one knows this. Like, I talked about it a little bit already, but like, the show's going on at 2021. I see all these happy faces, and they're coming up to me and telling me good things. And I'm sad because I know, this is the last He-Man focused one, and I couldn't tell anybody that, I couldn't say anything to them.
That was our last
if they signed,
Michael.
But if they signed a 3-year contract, would I guess everything changes? Or
yeah, it would definitely change. It'd be a huge game changer because it's like it gives you the flexibility.
You can plan.
Yeah, exactly. To plan accordingly, to be able to forecast, to work with them on where they want things to go, to make sure your programming and your guests fit their vision and where they're headed with entertainment or product. And without that kind of long-term agreement, it's very difficult to make it because every year you're just scrambling to put pieces into play. It's like, and some shows, it's like, and some conventions feel like that. And I'm not knocking any conventions, and I'm not going to name any names. But you will see that. You'll see some conventions out there that are sort of like a pop culture show, and there's no semblance or reason for why they have who they have as guests. It becomes very clear that they just took whoever they could get for cheap or whoever crossed their path. And I was like, I never want PowerCon to be that way. I want PowerCon to have a message and be focused. And for people to, when they come, they have an idea of what they're going to expect and what they get.
Yeah.
And, that's really important to me that it have that.
And I think that it really does reflect in the audience that you've built, the community that you've built, and the toy tubers who really feel, I hope I'm not speaking alone, but feel that it's a really great place to be, and we hope that 2025 is definitely going to be just as good, if not better, than the years previous. Guys, I want to thank Val for coming on tonight. It's been amazing, Val. Thank you so much for taking some time. I know it's like, for you and me. It's
are we wrapping up?
No, we're not wrapping up. I'm just thanking you right now, and I'm saying
I've still got 7 hours in the tank.
Yeah.
I mean, I go as long as you want me to go.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. And we're happy. We're more than happy. You don't have to leave. It's definitely. I just wanted to thank you right now and say thank you for bringing this amazing convention, to light for us. I mean, like, honestly, as you know, I'm a huge Master Universe fan, and I've heard legends of the PowerCon. I'd never ever gotten a chance to go, and then all of a sudden, we got locked down, and I was like, the next time we have a chance, I'm going. And that everything, all the stars aligned, and bam, we were there, right? So for me, it was just an incredible. And I said it when I was talking to you that day. It's like a religious experience for me. Like, it was absolutely amazing, and I hold true to that.
I love hearing Jay's stories about how you got to meet fellow toy tubers in person, and the camaraderie, and just the fact that it was a big show, but it wasn't like too big where that you couldn't really like enjoy the time with people and enjoy the vendors and have more one-on-one conversations. Ace was there from Ramen Toy, which was great. All the toy tubers were out there, and you got to meet people and take the time to actually like enjoy the convention with them. So I think it's great. Like the size that it is, it's great that it's growing, but it's really nice to have also that kind of intimacy of still being able to enjoy the convention floor.
I can confirm without a shadow of a doubt. I can confirm without a shadow of a doubt that Lawrence is taller in person. Okay, so I can confirm that without an absolute shadow of a doubt that Lawrence is. it really was amazing. And you know what? No, he's like, wait, he's like,
I'm sure. I'm kidding. We're like,
he's actually 6'7". It's just a running joke.
Don't mess with Lawrence. He's got those pipes. Jesus Christ, I got scared first time. It was a frightening.
Yeah, that's actually.
We'll take it down.
Magical is the way that I would describe just attending. I've only attended one PowerCon in 2021, and it was like overwhelming and emotional just to be there with everybody who is like you, because nobody else gets us.
I know.
It makes me sad in a way, because it's like you guys got to come to that and feel that family vibe that came out of the Masters Focus show. But I really been trying to keep that going with what we're doing, because simply, as I've said, so many of us don't just collect He-Man. There's so many other toys, and like once you get people in there and you get people together and they share not just a love of one brand, but a share of like their love of all brands, you can continue that vibe. And I have to say that I'm very, very lucky that as a whole, the attendees and people that have come to PowerCon have been by far amazing people. It's a very friendly bunch, a very welcoming bunch. Some shows I can't always say that about, but it's just a good bunch of people. It's you don't have any of that online drama nonsense. You can get together, even if you have a disagreement about something, because you're talking face to face, it's very clear how you mean it, and you're not trying to get the fisticuffs over it. It's you shouldn't be fighting over toys, for crying out loud. It's like
no. You know what? I don't want to get into that ball of wax, because Lawrence and I are about to freaking we're about to go cuff to cuff right now. This is I can't believe you said that. Just literally. Lawrence, you want to say anything? You look like you're itching to say something.
It's just crazy talk. It's just crazy talk. I thought we should all be fighting over toys.
Look, if we can get a wrestling ring for 2025, then, since that's when we're pushing this, Pixel Dan stole my pen after he signed somebody's book. I'm gonna have to.
You didn't ask for it back.
He's a wrestler. Just body slam him for it.
That's right.
Walk right up and give him an RKO.
I'm starting the Ostradamus Toys beef with Pixel Dan because I want my pen back. It was a very expensive pen from D13, all of $1, and now Ken and Lawrence need to have it out to see who tapped.
Just give him a stunner out of nowhere.
Oh my gosh, that's great! I love
it. All Toy 2 beef settled across PowerCon. It'll be a great show.
It's if I may step out of turn for a second, I saw that you flashed up Michael Blobe there. He was saying something really nice, and I want to give a thanks to him, because Mike helped with every single PowerCon that was in California, and became one of my most reliable guys to help out. I mean, he's
that's cool.
Such a nice guy, and such a just for no reason at all, such a hard worker. That never said no to anything. I felt like I could just make up crazy things to do just to see if he would do it, but I didn't do that. But I mean, he's just he was an example of people that come out of our community that are really genuinely nice, that want to help, that just
awesome.
couldn't do the show without people like Michael helping out.
Michael brings up a good point. I'm sure Val would like to see it crowded, but I feel the part of what makes PowerCon is the fact that it's not a huge crowded show. Right? I don't go to San Diego Comic-Con anymore because
I don't want it to be like that. Yeah.
And this is true. When you're everybody knows this. When you're at for those of us who've been there, it's like this at San Diego Comic-Con. You literally are trying to get to where you're going, and you're literally like sardines. It's absolutely insane. So going to PowerCon was a real big fresh breath of air, because you actually had room to move, and for Toy Tubers, it's amazing because we can actually shoot the stuff and not have to worry about squeezing in between other. It's just crazy sometimes.
Some venues, like you were talking about, one of the things that you learn about, which I'm sure you know about as well in your journeys, is when you're in certain places like hotels or certain ballrooms, if you're under a certain size, you're allowed to have aisles that are 8 feet.
Yep.
And that's what will make shows feel more congested. And our show aisles in California, for most of them, were 8 feet until like I think like the last 2 shows we had to go up. But like convention centers, I think it's like a requirement that they're 10 feet aisles.
Yes.
So they always feel it's surprising how much more room you get by adding 2 feet in those aisles.
Yeah, but some conventions, will actually push that. Depending on how many, they will, depending on the vendors and depending on the state, because there are certain states that allow it for, and provinces and other locations do allow for that.
The California didn't play. I tell you what, we have fire marshals on site
every
show.
I was just about to say the fire codes are probably, mandating that. I'm an architect, so that's why I can speak to it. But yes, absolutely.
All right, so Jay, because you talked about the toy tuber beef, I'm just gonna go ahead and what I'm gonna show here. Around the time of the Judge Steve Harvey episode there with Toy Anxiety and Geek Dad Life, just as a prank. I never did it, but I was gonna post this on everywhere, on Facebook, Instagram, absolutely everywhere. And it's specifically me looking intense because I never look like that, and you looking unassuming and then totally like, "Hey Ken, what's going on? What did I do wrong?" And the flames in the back of the thumbnail. You probably purposely picked one where you looked really, really worried, and I looked
really worried actually,
and I looked pissed off.
That's great clickbait, sir.
Ken turned heel.
That's my heel turn.
There you
go. Ken, how many fake thumbnails do you do of people? Because you sent me like
he has
2
to
or
be
3
ready
of me and you.
So in your case, Lawrence, I was drinking. In this case here, I was not intoxicated whatsoever. The one of you and me with did Bret Hart tap, I was legit thinking about asking that doesn't make much of a stream. I should just ask Lawrence to do something else. You know what I mean? Anyway.
Hey Jay, that's a really awesome website.
All right, so how many?
I was gonna say, since everybody's got another half an hour in them, I wanted to talk a little bit about some because we're talking about exclusives anyway, right? And the difficulty and the logistical aspects of them, and everything in between. I do have to wonder, and this is not a jab at anybody specifically. Okay, this is just things that do tend to happen. Exclusives have started to become a bit of a thing right now. Anywhere from GI Joe to what's it called? Mattel. Okay, just putting it out there.
A thing or an issue?
Sorry,
is like you said they were coming a thing. Well, they've been a thing for a long time. Do you mean like a bad thing?
Well, things are starting to, like, a lot of people are starting to question certain things, right? Like, I'm looking for it right now.
It's just keep scrolling down.
This is an amazing website. It's called toyhabits.com. If anybody hasn't seen it,
it's a great site.
Definitely give them a like and a follow. Tell them that we all sent them.
My favorite line.
Absolutely.
Hey Jay, here's a tip, by the way. If there's anything you want to find on the website, if you scroll all the way to the top by the Toy Habits logo, there's a little magnifying glass, and you can type in the topic and it'll pop up.
What are you looking for, Jay?
Wow, I wonder when they invented those.
I'm looking for the crimson.
Right there.
I'm looking for the crimson.
The Skeletor set. You just passed it. Go up.
No, the crimson.
The crimson set. That's why. Just type it in the search queue.
Yeah, I think it's on the homepage.
We had so many news stories in the last 3 days.
It's okay.
There's a little magnifying glass right over the toy.
No, I know. I know. It's okay. We can start. We can start with. We're still talking about MOTU anyway, so okay. we'll start with the Skeletor. So, I know that Val was wondering where the hell I was going with that.
I also want to know what's up with Skeletor, because somebody asked me the other day, like, "Hey, is this a real thing?" I'm like, "No, somebody just made that up. I don't know what that is."
We announced this back in February, and nothing happened. I did a whole Skeletor speculation article, and nothing happened now until October. So coinciding with Halloween, I guess.
It's basically MOTU's Day redo.
It is actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think after.
Yeah, the Celebration is basically so He-Man had 2022, and now Skeletor basically is one-upping He-Man for 2023. Gotcha. I think that's actually the way they're positioning it. So one of the things about this particular exclusive is I'm wondering where the heck this came from. Does anybody know? Val, you might know, but does anybody know what VeeFriends is? Because I am completely in the dark about what VeeFriends is.
VeeFriends?
VeeFriends.
There's another article that's got the VeeFriends.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna bring it. I'm actually gonna go ahead and bring it up. So MattelCreations.com, because it's still there. Today,
too deep even for me.
Yeah, today there was a huge drop. Well, I guess depending on who you are, there was a huge drop today about the exclusive VeeFriends and Skeleton and MOTU Skeletor Skilled Skeleton 2-pack. And I remember when this first dropped, I was actually very, very excited. And the reason I was excited was because this is the first time I think we've seen a Filmation Skeletor, but with Filmation style heads. And what do I mean by that? I mean that he's actually got emotes. Like he actually looks like he did in the actual Filmation cartoon. He's even got
Scream there.
Yeah, he's even got yeah, exactly. He looks like Ghostface.
Yeah,
that's what
I can't not see it. I keep looking at it going.
Yeah, he's Ghostface basically, right? But this is my problem, okay? And I think that this is actually why it's still available for pre-order. And I want to ask anybody if they feel the same way I do. The problem that I had today, and I made a video about this, unfortunately, I really want this. I really do want this set, but I don't want this. Because I don't know.
I thought you said.
Are you kidding me? That thing glows in the dark.
This
This is the reaction I want. But this is the reaction I wanted. Some people are gonna love this. Some people are gonna hate this, and some people like me are just like, "What the heck is this?"
I thought you were saying something else. Like VeeFriends is my understanding is they're another one of these the boutique type companies that does like a lot of art type stuff that mix like different things together with like art and toys and entertainment and music and all this stuff. You see Mattel Creations doing this a lot. Like they've really sort of jumped into sort of the art boutique scene. And it's like, and I think they're just trying to, I don't know. My guess is that they're just trying to cross promote into different audiences where they feel there might be, I don't know, money to be made with speculation and investment. Maybe, I don't know. That's a guess. Total guess.
And I think that's probably true because and just to further on that.
Oh, an NFT line. Okay, sorry.
They've done a lot of collabs. They've done a lot of collabs with a lot of artists, right? They did like a chocolate versions of the Masterverse figures with a very popular artist at one point. They also did what's it called? A Madsky version of Skeletor and I think it was Battle Cat, right? They've done some crazy activations. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's where this one gets to me though. If you're going to use MOTU as a platform, right, to get this going, right, I think you need either more lead time or you need something else to sell me on this, because as cute as this little guy is, okay, trust me, as cute as this little guy is, I have no idea who he is. So the problem is the problem is, but the problem is I want the freaking Skeletor, but I don't want to pay $45 for this. This is where I'm at.
Jay, this was actually $56 once you get through tax and shipping.
Oh,
$56 because I had it in my cart. I was this close to. I was like, I don't know. Should I order it? Should I not? I actually sent it.
I was torn.
What's the packaging presentation like on it? Do they have pictures of it?
It's actually really nice. It's really nice.
Yeah, they just dropped all of the Filmation cartoon figures on Tuesday. You can get the single carded Skeletor figure for $20. And he looks great. He's almost exactly the same. You don't get the swappable plates, and you don't get the like sparkly purple, loincloth and chest armor, but it's almost the same figure.
There's the other problem. Timing.
Yeah.
Timing. You got to give us space.
Yeah, right.
Because what incentive do I have now to buy this other than the cool faces? Because I love those freaking faces. What else do I have? Because honestly, the other one's coming out in a couple of weeks, or shipping God knows when.
Actually, Jay,
or where these two find it in like some god awful.
The single carded one gets released at the end of the year, and this VeeFriends version I think ships sometime late February. So you wouldn't even get it before the other edition. It's not like even a reason to get it early.
I mean, that's
okay. I'll pay more money so I can have the Skeletor faster.
That's the problem with our hobby now, right? I mean, things from the crowdfunding and everything have gotten to be so expensive. Like people are starting to have to cherry pick more and more and more. And if you were completionist as I was and had to stop collecting for that reason because I can't stop the compulsion. It makes it almost impossible. It's hard. It's hard.
Let's go around the horn. Lawrence, you don't even have a skin in the game on this one, but what are your thoughts? Like does this appeal to you at all?
Lawrence is a huge MOTU fan.
No, I meant VeeFriends. I'm talking about VeeFriends.
I love
None of us are
really.
VeeFriends.
That's the whole reason why I want it, but I'm not going to spend. Like that's the whole reason why I wanted it, because I'm not getting with the Filmation. This is going to upset some people, as always.
Whatever.
I don't like the way the Filmation figures look, and it made me look at them and go, "Oh my god, I didn't realize how bad they looked compared to what we had as kids."
Gotcha.
But I think what it is with that little V guy is that the scared glow glows so amazingly whenever I shut the light off in my kitchen that I want that little guy there too. But I don't want to spend $45 because if I get Skeletor, then you got to get a He-Man to go with it.
That's
and I already know how my brain works, and then I go down that rabbit hole, and then I'm buying everything of the Filmation.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that you weren't into the MOTU. I was like, I thought you weren't going to get into the VeeFriends either, because I have no idea what VeeFriends is.
Oh, I'm not going to get into it. I just really like that little guy. I think he's awesome.
Well, you know what? Then calling me wrong there. That was actually crazy. So,
will you be my V friend, Lawrence?
Next question.
While you had a big screen, I just wanted to see the blank look. That's all. I wanted to get the reaction.
Perfect.
He's like, you are my V friend. You are my V friend.
Ken, I'm gonna ask this. I'm gonna ask this properly now because I know I'm gonna get in trouble. Are you into any of this? Like, do you know any of what's going on here exactly?
Like, do I know what Masters of the Universe is?
No. Do you know what's going on with this crossover? These artists. Like, do you know what's happening here? Not
really. Like, it's a little bit out of my everyday purview, but that's why I come here, right? To fill the gaps on stuff, right? Pretend I know not along until you ask. Then you make Ken take the exam himself, and he just looks to copy up somebody else, right? So
I'll give you cryptids.
Would you buy this? Would you buy this?
No. I buy enough stuff. Lord knows.
Oz, any comments?
For me, honestly, right now, if I had the money, I definitely would have picked it up. I like the swappable faceplates for the Skeletor. I think that's kind of a one-of-a-kind kind of thing, a one-off for this version. May be proven wrong later by Mattel. That's totally possible, and we know how they like to print money, so they may just do that more. Yeah. But I didn't know what the hell a damn VeeFriend is, and I think that whole digital toy craze thing is probably one of the stupidest damn ideas I've ever freaking heard. I could rant on that for hours, and I have.
Oz is allowed to be a hater sometimes,
Look, I love everything about toys.
There you go.
Making a virtual toy is really fucking stupid.
Isn't that Roblox?
It's called plastic crack for.
That's again. There you go. Like all a virtual toy is one sprite from a video game.
Are you talking more like the crypto toys kind of stuff?
Yeah, the crypto.
Yes, the crypto toys, that kind of thing. I'm not NFTs as a whole. Just really seem
NFTs definitely has died considerably, but I think it's always going to be here. I think it's going to rebound slowly over time and find like the people that invest with it. But it'll research like this,
Yep. Like, well, let's face it, it's kind of like cryptocurrency. Everybody's investing into this one thing, and it builds up a whole bunch of following behind it. It's exactly what it sounds like.
Until the big players cash out, then it becomes a problem.
Yeah,
exactly what'll happen.
Exactly.
But in any case, though, I enjoy the VeeFriend portion of this, like the actual physical toy. I mean, they made it glow in the dark, so I was doomed to begin with. It's my favorite, action figure thing. I love glow in the dark stuff. And honestly, I like skeletons and skulls and stuff. So I was all kind of about that. But, this one, it was kind of one of those things where it's like, you know what, though? I don't need it all. I'm going to pass.
Yeah, me too. I agree. Michael, any thoughts?
Yeah, it's very rare for me to pass on a figure like this, but
I was going to say, I bought it. No, you didn't. Okay.
No, I didn't. I never had it in my cart. I actually never went on to Mattel Creations today either, or yesterday. But yeah, it's basically, I was thinking about it, and the only reason that I would be getting it is to get the swappable faceplates for Skeletor, the little VeeFriend. I'm sorry, would give it away to somebody or just toss them in the recycle bin.
I'll take it.
But
it's funny. Me and Michael had a conversation about this earlier, and I was like, usually I'm all about kind of being completist when it comes to Mattel Creations exclusives, and I passed on this because I was like, it's $56. I mean, the little skeleton guy is cute, but I don't need it. Am I really going to pay that much money for Skeletor for some extra space plates when I can get the regular one for $20? And I kind of felt proud of myself for kind of having some control and like skipping it. You know, like me and Michael were kidding around. We're like adulting because we actually didn't buy this one.
One
and
day
I was like,
we're adulting.
like, you know, pat on the back that I was able to walk past it and walk away.
Yeah.
So as cute as it is, I was just like, you know, I can just deal with the single carded Skeletor. I don't really need those extra swappable faceplates. And yeah, I ended up not buying it, especially when I saw the price tag at the end of the shopping cart right before you hit purchase. Yeah, it adds up with shipping and tax and all of that. I'm like, I can get two single carded Skeletors, one to keep on card and one to open, and it's still less money. So to me, it just wasn't really worth the price. Maybe if it was like $30 or something like that, 35, you know, that little VeeFriends skeleton I could have given away or done without it. But I think it was
anybody doesn't want that.
Oz will take it.
Can I say something really quick about
the price?
I
could have shifted over to you.
Oh wait, what's going on, Lawrence?
Can I say something about the price? Because
Sure.
Mattel doesn't make a lot of sense. You have this Mossman that they put out for $40, which is the most overpriced thing, so much that Hella Dope Toys is doing their own little videos just so they can get their money's worth out of it. Then you have Lady Slither show up for $35, and it's well has more than enough stuff on it, you know, just with the snake and everything. And then you have this one that's $45, and it's like, you're worse than Hasbro right now with picking what your exclusives are going to be. Like, it's like someone's just throwing a dart at a dartboard, and wherever it lands, like, that's the price.
I was actually okay with the price for Mossman only because I know the flocking process was probably really expensive, and the execution of the figure was exquisite. Like, we can't complain at all with how Mossman turned out. I don't have him in front of me, but Oz, you had yours right there. The flocking was perfection. All the joints were flocked. You know, he moved perfectly and, you know, kind of smelled a little bit like pine, but they really executed Mossman
Panther was
perfectly.
the same price.
I think it's my favorite Mossman to date.
Panther
And
was,
well worth, you
Panther
know,
was
paying the $40 for him. And he came in an incredible package.
Yeah.
Even if it was a Walmart exclusive. And I want to thank our fellow collectors out there that helped me and Michael pick one up because we didn't find them in our area at all. And you know who you are, so thank you for that. But with that one, I think it was worth it. But when you release something for pre-order the same 2 days or 3 days later of releasing its single card edition that's less than half the price, then that's where there's a reason that it's still up for pre-order and not sold out right now. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I think it has something to do with tooling, because, you know, Lady Slither, there's a lot of parts with Lady Slither brand new. I think that with Mossman, the flocking is actually, like, you know, everyone's gonna say, oh, you couldn't do, like, you know, some people say, oh, you can't do vac metal. You can do vac metal. You can't do flocking. You can do flocking, but, you know, there's a process behind it, right? So there are things behind it, and I don't disagree with you though, Lawrence. I think that there is something that they need to figure out. What, you know, they got to do something like Transformers. A deluxe is a deluxe. A Voyager is a Voyager. A leader is a leader, and a commander is a commander. You know what I mean? They're
in general, until they cheat and then they make the leader the commander class price, but that's a whole other discussion.
Yeah, that's fine. Get it from the Transformers guy to literally knock me down. Okay, no, what I'm trying to say is we try to get pricing in a certain. I mean, for crying out, they sold Optimus Prime as a leader one time. Anyway, we're not going to get it totally into that. Let's just. I just didn't want to split hairs today. Leave it to Lawrence to get us all of us to fight or something. Jesus. Right.
Lawrence likes to get us all riled up, like it's almost like a little stick to a.
Val,
a
do you have any? Do you have any thoughts on?
Oh,
Val,
on the Friends exclusive.
Yeah.
I haven't bought anything in a very long time because I mean, all sincerity, I put all my money into PowerCon because I'm trying to grow something. So I have no expendable cash. Right. So I have to live vicariously through everybody. Like, I mean, seriously, if you saw my collection in my house, you're looking at it. I don't have anything. I got nothing.
We got to send Val some gifts, I think.
Well, I've got classic Skeletor, which I opened when he first came out, and then I've got Plasmar over here because David Igo from Tweeterhead sent me that guy. And I got Too Bad, which was a gift on my 40th anniversary birthday cake. And then I got my painting of Gentleman Dragster, which Daniel Benedict created.
40th anniversary?
40th birthday. 40th birthday. Sorry, I might have said. Sorry.
I think Val's begging for a gift.
No. I don't need it. But I'm all for anything that is different that might expose new people to it. I do. It comes back to originally what I said before, my concern simply about cost and being preventative for, collectors to get as much as they want. But then, at the end of the day, like, that's a compulsion that each person has to manage on their own, right? I mean, it's like you're not required to buy everything. You don't have to buy everything. And Mattel's trying to diversify their offerings to reach new people. So I think it's really cool. If I had been collecting, it wouldn't really be the thing that I want to buy, but I'm glad that people that would like that have that option to get it. So trust me, there's so many cool things. Like I would have a sail barge set up in here somewhere, and it's like, I mean, there's just oh my gosh, there's just so many awesome things coming out now. I'm just like, why? It's like, but it's just I can't afford to get them.
I'm like you, Val, where if you go in on a line, you have to buy everything, and I think I spend probably. I'll buy a line 99% and maybe miss one or two things, but it's hard because I wanted the HasLab Ghost, but there's nowhere to put it, so I bought it, and it's just going to sit in a box for a while. Same with the Cat's Lair. It's going to sit in the box.
Monstrous. It's going to be so big. I mean, the Ghost was, like you said, Ghost was that's a big box, but yeah, the Cat's Lair is going to be enormous.
I love it.
I'm setting up a new house with a new toy room.
You're gonna have to buy a house to put the stuff.
Jealous.
She did. That's exactly why.
Just buy. Oh, okay.
I didn't see the pictures of the renovations.
I know.
I didn't realize it was for that partial.
Well, it wasn't for that sole purpose. That was a side effect, I guess, a positive side effect of buying the house.
Okay.
Yes, I had an ulterior motive because it had a double room where I can do a YouTube studio and a toy room next to it.
Nice.
That helped make my decision.
All right. So on exclusives, we might as well open up a can of worms here. The Crimson Strike team, I think a lot of people were anticipating this until they saw the price. Who has some thoughts on the Crimson Strike team? $90 USD for this, for 3 figures and a bunch of accessories plus, and arguably the only figure in here is Baroness. I mean, if you really break the whole thing down,
is there any new tooling on this at all?
Baroness is the only one with any real tooling. Like she's got 2 head sculpts and hair.
Her arms are different.
Are those lifted from another? Like, are they? Is the tooling lifted for somewhere else?
No, I think they're completely new tooling for her arms.
So basically,
you're paying $30 per for mostly existing tooling with minor refreshes.
Yes.
Well, basically, you're paying for one character. Basically, I mean.
So I have a lot to say about this one.
All right, here we go.
So when the Viper 2-pack or the Viper 3-pack came out, it was $90, and I had a huge issue with it, especially when, and I know it comes with more accessories, but it's only one figure, and it's already a repaint of a figure to begin with. They put it at $90. Then shortly after that, and I mean shortly, Marvel drops a 3-pack of $75 of Bullseye, Daredevil, and Elektra. and they're paying royalty rates on that.
Yeah.
So, and then we saw it go on Amazon, go on sale on Amazon really quickly. So when they started dropping the other figures, you saw the price went down, especially like on the 2-pack. They went 55. And again, if it's a 2-pack, it should be like 45, not 55, considering that's the whole point of buying a multi-pack. So when what's the other 3-pack that's coming out for
the fire
team? Yeah, the fire team.
Oh, the his team, yeah.
Yeah, that's $80. And that's, well, not newer figures, but those figures are bigger and bulkier. They have a lot of accessories. So I was really thinking this would come in at no higher than 80. But they went back up to their 90, like once again, someone just throwing a dart at a dartboard. And the one thing the G.I. Joe team did do was Emily came out and said, okay, standard figures are 25, deluxe are 35, animal companions are 45, small vehicles are 50. Was it 55? What's the 55 price point? Yeah, well, that doesn't make any sense either, because I think the 2 Trouble Bubbles that came out that are different prices.
Yeah, and part of the reason for that, Lawrence, this is just my opinion and thought, is the second Trouble Bubble, which was the Python Patrol version, was a Target exclusive rather than just through Hasbro Pulse. And Target has a much bigger MOQ, a lot bigger distribution than Hasbro does. So they were able to lower the production cost of it and lower the actual retail price. Plus, it was a repaint, so they weren't putting in new tooling, and so that made the production cost even lower as well. So that added the 2 factors that made it $45.
So this is why I think that it is. And if you look at when there was all the distribution issues and they dropped the figures, right? They announced figures were going up to $25, or even when they went hit the $22 or $23 point, there was all these figures on that were supposed to come out, especially for Target. The Bats and the Alley Viper also, when they dropped them, they were supposed to be more expensive. Well, the figures have gone up, but when they purchased them originally, they were supposed to be at a $20 price point. So if you look at all those original Python Patrol figures and Tiger Force, they were still at like $20. Same with the Viper and the Alley Viper. So I think what happened, in all honesty, was they had ordered this and they expected it to come out earlier, and it was a $45 price point. But when they did everything, Hasbro knew they could raise it, except for Target already said, we're selling it at $45. And so they have to do the same thing.
Is this a Pulse item?
So,
okay. I mean, from a layman, I mean, just for me, I mean, I just, I see what you're talking about, because, they're selling it direct. So, they're not selling it wholesale. So, their markup is artificial. They can do it whatever they want. If this is a Pulse item, I mean, for me as a layman, I think this is a great looking set. I think these figures look fantastic. But it's another factor to consider. It's kind of like how the Black Series, like for Star Wars, like kept going up in price. G.I. Joe fans are just like He-Man fans. We're rabid as heck, but there's not as many of us as you think. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing like classified production numbers going down, and they're not going to reveal those numbers to us. So we have no way of knowing how that's going to offset like their cost of production in it. But at the end of the day, it's all speculation, right? It's total guesswork. They might be pumping this up to help offset some costs somewhere else on something. It's tough to say.
Well,
that's a big ask though. $90 for that. It's a big ask.
The one thing about the G.I. Joe that people don't realize, it's been told to them, they just don't want to hear it. Like, they don't want to believe it, is G.I. Joe is a small brand compared to Marvel, Star Wars, Transformers.
Yes.
They only have the one product. Okay? They only have the classified. Everything else wasn't in the budget. That's why we don't have 1/18 scale. I mean, it's right there, just no one wants to believe it. It's kind of like Hooded Cobra Commander. The information's right there. You just don't want to believe it, even though it's been proven. So they're trying to catch up starting off, because when Classified started, as far as I'm concerned, when you looked at it, it was really like, all right, here you guys go. Just try and do something with G.I. Joe.
You felt like it's placating, like just
yeah.
No,
but once it started taking off, and Emily even called it the little engine that could, and you're like, all right, well, you were the biggest product in the 80s. Like you were the biggest toy in the 80s, right? I mean, but once it started going, and again, everyone's like, why don't they just give us everything? Well, you know what? If they give you $100,000 budget, and I'm just using that number, we know it's much higher, but here's your $100,000 budget for the year. If you make $125,000, your hope is that you take that $125,000, it goes back into the product, and now your budget is $125,000 for that year, and you hope you make $150,000.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what's happened with G.I. Joe. Is you've seen it go up and up and up. And so some of these prices still don't make a lot of sense.
It's all over the place. I mean, Classified as a niche line, kind of like it reminds me a lot of classics in terms of that, how it's being delivered and what it's done. I mean, I think it's definitely proven that, you know, there's definitely that following there for the G.I. Joe, that hardcore following. I mean, it's like I've worked with Hasbro for 20 years now internally doing licensing art and concept design and packaging and stuff. And I've heard the grumbles over the years. Like they've wanted G.I. Joe to come back so many times. You know, they tried a few times and it didn't work. Was it Sigma? What was the one?
Sigma 6.
Yeah, I mean, they tried, that didn't work. You know, they've tried so many things, and this
Renegades.
Renegade was like, you know, there's still that big underlying fear about the violence and real life weapon aspect of it. There's a lot of, it's not so much that, you know, there isn't a following for it. It's just that they have investors they have to worry about. There's a public image aspect they have to worry about. And I think that Classified has shown that, well, there's still a very vested interest in this. But I think that's where a company like Masterverse has come in and been able to succeed, because they don't have any of that hanging over them. They don't have investors to answer to. They can just do military, because there's a huge audience for military toys.
Yep.
Yeah. There is.
As a matter of fact, Delta 17 is also looking to also bring out some wonderful figures very, very soon, and
Definitely.
It'll land in the next month and a half. Actually, they're
Wow.
Ooh.
Congratulations.
So when you
exciting.
say they're going to land in the next month, does that mean they're all showing up in like D-Day ships and storming? Or?
So that's
They're storming like
it's supposed to land on the coast here, and Steve's going to drive a truck halfway across the country and then cross the border to ship everything with USPS. So it's going to be a bit of a staged process. So.
Well, if that 3-pack got people riled up, I mean, this one really got people just absolutely.
Oh my
God!
Here we go.
$110.
So the thing that gets me, yes, the prices are huge, but I like going back to the G.I. Joe Classified series just for 1 second. It's the repaint. Basically, they'll do a normal figure or a repaint, and then the next wave they'll release that normal figure or repaint, or vice versa. And I think they need to wait longer to do that.
Yes,
This was the tooling.
Yeah. But
they already got it going.
They can wait.
And I agree. I'm not trying to disagree with you, but that's the reason.
Yeah.
It just sucks.
Exhibit A, Tunnel Rat.
I still think that's
Tunnel Rat. Now we're getting Night Force Tunnel Rat. We just got him.
Right. Like Tiger Force Bazooka. Let me get regular Bazooka in the next wave. So I feel like they should.
Just seeing Tiger Force to me is amazing, personally.
Yeah.
It's like,
like I guess going back to price, like the repaints. I know that they're never going to do this, but they should cost less money, correct?
Well,
in theory,
ideally,
and I think that the Python Patrol Trouble Bubble is a really good example of that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like that's an example where it actually went down in price by about $10.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Okay,
no.
So,
but
in that same vein, we were just talking about the price of Mossman, where this Mossman figure is all shared parts, alternate head, armor, weapons, figure, the whole works.
None of the pack-in items were new at all. It was all still
not a single one of them.
Thing.
All of it's reused from previous Beastman figures, and they still felt the need to charge as much as they did for Panther.
The head is a slightly different sculpt. Slightly. The mouth.
Which one?
isn't it? Or is it that they painted it differently?
They painted this differently from the original.
So it's
Moss
the same.
Man.
It's
the
actually
original
the same
Moss.
salt, it's just painted differently.
Yes, the original Moss Man. They painted the middle of the mouth black, so he didn't have the fangs. This one they gave him fangs.
Can I say something? You said to bringing Moss Man in, and all I saw was hella dope toys, and hearing Ted's voice because you moved it in like you were shaking.
That's
all the tea spilling the tea.
That's what's it called? A Mr. Home Arcade move as well. He's always like all the figures are like moving around like they're drunk.
Again, like you're essentially paying $40 for a really, really nice box and flocking. And although we all say flocking is really expensive, I actually talked to several people who do flocking. It's not that expensive. Not $40 expensive for a single figure.
Yeah. Well, maybe the process today is more expensive in the way that the factories are set up, and they probably have to totally change their production run because now they're attaching flocking onto a figure, and they're not like whipping it out like just molded plastic and paint out.
Oh, agree.
So that probably could have put a wrench in like the factory to change up the complete production, and that added, I think, a huge cost. To them.
Tac Toys with Film says, I can see what the panel is saying about the G.I. Joe repaints being spaced out, but at the same time, the Hasbro G.I. Joe team are spacing out releases, and repaints allow them to do that. That's an interesting point.
And I kind of want to add something to the issue with the G.I. Joe repaints, and I don't think people would be as mad if they didn't put the numbers on it. If they did, they weren't all numbered, and then you have people like myself who have every single one of them, and they're in a row. Well, in a row as much as possible, because I still keep the boxes. If all those Tiger Force and Cobra Island and Python Patrol and Night Force, if they didn't have numbers, they probably wouldn't bother people. And I said before, like, I don't have a problem with all the repaints because we're still getting new characters. But I do understand. People don't even have Tunnel Ray yet, and they're announcing the Night Force one. That you're looking at it going, is it that different? The whole Outback, we waited for that Outback, Tiger Force.
A year and a half.
Yes,
right.
And then did regular Outback come first, or did he come like 2 weeks later? It was like
he came
right
like
after.
a month afterward or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's not even mentioning the movie figures, which came out of left field. I mean, what the heck were they even doing in the line? I mean, they just came smack-a-dabbed in the middle of the entire classified line.
Because what they want to do is they want to classify any figures that they do. So don't be surprised if you start getting like Sigma 6, Renegade. Yeah, stuff like that. Like
and it's all the same numbered sequence. So
right.
And I would love to see like the movie figures, like from the movies. The movies may be awful, but there were some really good characters in it.
Yeah. True.
That also brings up a point where like Marvel, Star Wars, and I mean, I guess even with the G.I. Joe movie figures, like there's licensing and all of the, they basically have support of the movie houses for these things. So
yeah, the licensor,
100%. And speaking of licenses, I mean, this thing is just killing me, man. Like, how do they justify $111 for 3 figures, blast effects? And I don't know.
Does it
I guess
cost
video
for a
games,
stormtrooper?
I don't know. I guess video games are higher prices. I don't know. Like,
I'd pay 110 Canadian, Jay. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't pay 110 US.
Over at GameStop, they were asking $190 for this thing.
190.
So they can't even get the exchange rate right.
No, they can't.
With the exchange rate, this should be like 155 Canadian, not 190.
190. Anyway. That's not even before tax. We have 13% tax up here in Canada. So this thing is just absolutely ridiculous. Guys, how can we, what are we looking at here exactly? What happened here? Why $110 for 3 figures? I mean, $190 for the 3 Crimson Strike Team was kind of like ouch, and this one just kind of went above and beyond. I don't know.
Because you're getting this little like base and blast effects. Yeah. So like, hey, we could charge another $20 for this thing.
You got to be kidding.
I don't know. So, that's a really good question, Jay.
I was
pushing
just
the
thinking,
envelope, and I think they're pushing too far.
I was thinking along the same lines because if you look at the Viper 3-pack, it came with a gaggle of blast effects. And maybe it's that, but like the Stormtroopers are already made. They just repaint. They make those and paint them again. And I don't know if Star Killer was ever made.
No, this is the first Star Killer.
That's why
You're paying $110 for one figure. It's kind of like
well, it's kind of like the Baroness. The Baroness is really the reason why you buy the 3-pack for the Crimson Strike team.
Yeah,
I like the twinsies.
Yeah, it's funny because like they did a really good job with the Crimson convention exclusives. So I think that's hitting a button with
the one from a few years ago.
Yeah, there was one in 2001, and then they did it with the updated like 25th anniversary buck. I forget when, maybe that's 2016 or 17.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, throw anything Crimson on it, and I will buy it.
Pretty much.
Let's repaint the Trouble Bubble Crimson.
Yeah, but
Red Shadow's Trouble Bubble. There you go.
But is this pack out worth not like let's just go ahead and go around the horn. Is this pack out worth $111, guys? Seriously.
No.
I wasn't willing to pay.
Absolutely not.
I wasn't going to pay $40 for a line I actively can collect. And I love Star Killer. I love Force Unleashed. I'm not paying that much money to get 2 damn Stormtroopers.
I'm wondering if maybe it's, since it's not a crowdfunded one and it's a set price, I'm wondering I wonder if it's just a limited production, because I'm like,
low.
It's definitely
think
limited,
about it,
low
like
order
Star
quantity.
Killer's definitely not got mainstream appeal. You got to dive into the novels and comics and video games to like really want that character. So I mean, I maybe.
No, I agree.
I'm just trying to pull a reason out of the air at this point.
He's going to be a limited release. There's not much you can do with him. The only other way you're going to re-release him is to do like the variants where you would make a Jedi version of him as opposed to like the more Sith apprentice style. But you're right. Without the hype of the media of the game right now, because it's been like over a decade, like he's just not there. The demand's not going to really be there for most.
Some
people.
will work, but those are the exceptions. Like a Darth Revan works quite well as far as like I just picked up Bastila Shan, but Knights of the Old Republic became like a multi-game franchise, right? But I think that's more the exception than the rule.
I kind of like what the Black Series is doing with re-releasing figures that cost way too much money on the second market. So like their archive series is great, but yeah, I mean it's basically suffering from just repaint after repaint after repaint and rising costs, right?
But the one thing the one thing no one talked about with that 3-pack there was he has a screaming Duke head.
You know what?
I mean, that's worth like $20 right there, right?
There you go.
We all love Screaming Duke.
Yeah.
All right. I think Lawrence gets the win.
All right. I'm sold.
Lawrence wins the night.
Lawrence wins that one. That was actually a really good point.
It's 4:31 in Argentina right now. Sorry, I'm checking out this cool comment from Damo. I'm Argentinian, so that's really
neat. It's 3:32 here in Detroit.
Still up.
I gotta be up in a few hours, so
I was gonna say, I think.
All right, then let's close it. Let's close this off on.
I'm bringing out the Spanish at this hour.
I get the hint. So let's close this off on one of the hottest toy properties, which baffles my mind. It really does. But you know what? I think the reason Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has survived so long with such reverence is that they continue to evolve with their audience. You know what I mean? Like every single generation of Turtles has had something different, right? For us, it was the TMNT. Well, actually, if you really go back, it was Mirage first, right? So we had really violent Turtles, and then they marketed it to toys, and it became Playmates and the cartoon Turtles, right? And then the 90s and 2000s came around, and they evolved to a different types of Turtles there. Then and now we've got like, I think they're like, we got to the Nickelodeon type of Turtles. The movies came out. Hey, okay, now we know we're in trouble. Usual Mike is actually awake, and
he is. He's on the other side of the world.
That's right.
It's like tomorrow already for him.
Oh, it's 2:32 p.m. actually.
Well, he's in the future right now.
Yeah,
exactly. He can actually pop in if we wanted to. But what I wanted to say is that I think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has sold like a ton of toys this year. It's been absolutely bonkers. What are your thoughts, guys? Like has anybody actually seen this? First of all, has anybody actually seen this movie? Like, is this something?
I haven't seen it.
My kids have. I haven't yet. I want to. I mean, I hear about it all from Dan, so I'm Pixel Dan, so I'm not worried about it. I mean, I'm glad to see it, because I mean, Rise didn't do what they hoped. That only lasted a couple of seasons, right?
No, Rise was disappointing, unfortunately.
So I mean, but they don't always hit it out of the park, right? But I mean, Mutant Mayhem is really firing, on all cylinders, and I think the line looks really awesome. Personally, I think it looks so.
Yeah,
cool.
I think it's really cool, like for what they are. Anybody else has seen it, or
my daughter saw it.
Guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What are the impressions? Like what are you hearing? Because I've heard good things.
I asked my daughter because like she's not into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but she saw it with her friends. But she loved the movie. She wants to go see it again.
Oh, cool.
And that's a female demographic, which is it's not.
And I have two daughters, so
yeah, she's almost 16, so. Yeah.
And it's not necessarily aimed at female demographics, right? I mean, so that's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah, she likes it a lot.
That can cross, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Oz, Lawrence, Ken, any thoughts on that?
I've never been a turtle guy, so and I'm glad because there's too much to buy. I'd be so bad. But
there's a lot of Turtles toys. I'm learning that firsthand.
And you know what? Yeah. We were on Oz's stream on last Saturday, and Ace from Ramen was there, and he dispelled the myth that I thought that the moment you start a toy company, you instantly get a turtle line.
So, yeah, he's just getting into it now.
Yeah, it took him a while. And,
I thought you said I'm starting a toy company, and like magically there was a contract for a turtle line.
Playmates was sending him the license, but Mattel sent a cease and desist, and he's still trying to figure out how.
That works.
I'm joking. No, I joke.
I still have PTSD with the whole turtle prophecy.
Yeah, it was funny because there was that cardboard cutout of a turtle, and Toy Story was just like, I'm not touching that.
Like, just stay away from turtles. Period.
Yes, that's a good idea.
I love this line. If it's turtle and MOTU, I'm not touching it.
Okay, so question. Since nobody's seen this, right? Are we to infer that all of these mutants were like kids when they actually grew up? Is that what I'm looking at here?
I haven't gotten to see the movie yet, only just because I've been so busy. But I think it's more of like kind of an origin story and how they came about. And again, if I'm wrong, I apologize because I haven't seen the film yet. But that's why it's kind of talking about like when they were, I guess, adolescents or whatever, and how they probably became the mutant, villains that they are today.
All of these mutants were kids. like this is what I don't understand. Like,
and all at the same time.
They're so cute.
They look like Muppet babies, right? Remember those?
Well, I was just gonna say we're getting TMNT babies, and there's gonna be this nanny that you never see from the knee up.
No, Nanny's right here. Nanny's right here. Nanny's right
there
here.
You go.
There
you go.
This is
does Splinter have a fro? Hold on.
He looks like he has got like a Bob Ross fro.
He's got a Bob Ross fro. Oh my god, I love this.
Again,
it's a cardboard cutout too.
These toys are encouraging me to watch this freaking movie. You know what I mean? Like,
they're awesome looking.
I am so excited about these toys.
I bought this cute little plushie of Bebop the other day. I showed Michael. It was adorable.
Wait, you guys like this, but you don't want that little V Skeletor guy?
I thought he was cool.
I don't know who he is.
Hard pass.
It's late at night, Lawrence.
I know. I'm having trouble with words at the moment.
It's early in the morning.
I'm not trying to say I just don't know enough about him. That's my big problem. I just don't, I would love to get. I need to get the facial sculpts, but I just don't get him. I just don't get that little guy. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to be mean or anything like that.
Somebody actually found a set of these Wave 2 figures. I believe it was in a Walmart. I haven't gotten to do a little write up on it yet, but the Wave 2 figures showed up, and you could just see a photograph of the shelf and barely make out a rollback tag on the side of the screen. So I think they're starting to probably start hitting shelves. But those new villains that are in Wave 2 look really great.
I'm not gonna lie, I want the April figure for like all the little like computers alone, like working those into other stuff.
Yeah.
Like
I
there's
think
some cool accessories.
I think everybody wants the April figure because this is the first time she's been on a single card. Like the only way you could get her in the Wave 1 was with the
big multi-pack.
Yeah,
the multi-pack from Target.
Yeah.
But that was cool because they're all in the turtle van. It's a nice display piece.
Yeah, it was neat.
I'm just floored at the longevity of Turtles and the genius behind Eastman and Laird. I mean, I don't understand how. I mean, you couldn't make this up. This is Hollywood stuff. Literally two guys make an ash can comic book in their basement, sell it on the street, basically. You know what I mean?
The Toys That Made Us did a segment.
Great documentary.
Basically selling it door to door.
It was just nuts.
Pagoda to pagoda.
And we're talking about violent.
The only one who would take it. Yeah.
And we're talking about really violent. Like comics, all of a sudden being turned into a kid's card, like bonkers.
Eating pizza and
right,
skateboard riding and playing video games.
Did they even eat pizza in the original comic? I don't think they did. I think
that was added strictly to the cartoon and then became a comic thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
I don't know. I love these new figures. I'm like all in on the line. I bought the turtle layer. I haven't opened it yet because it was as soon as I had to pack up my house, so it's still in its box. But I absolutely love the fact that they are very toyetic. They're colorful. They're kind of classic again. So I think they're doing a great job on that new line. I'm all in.
Absolutely. Well, more to unbox when you get home, when you get the new place. So.
Oh, I know. I got so much to unbox.
I mean, one of the biggest things is truly that they do reinvent themselves for younger generation just about every 10 years. And that's
mostly successfully too, which is really important.
Right. Yeah. They're hitting that new demographic. They take chances and do new things based on new times. They don't leave themselves stuck in the same old tropes of the past, which is one of those things that we do kind of see from other toy lines and media from our youth. One of the biggest things we've always said about Masters of the Universe, one of the reasons it doesn't last well in media is because they keep trying to retell the same thing over and over again without changing enough of it to really make it something new. And then when they do, unfortunately, as fans, a lot of us get really mad and angry about it. We're all a little guilty of it. We all have things that we don't like about the new stuff.
It works sometimes. Yes, like when Beast Wars came out, that worked. Because it felt like a completely different thing.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if you remember when it first came out, the reaction from the hardcore fans was not that positive. It's like you have to dig a little bit deeper in terms of like the early days.
Didn't give it a chance,
but it definitely is now. It's highly revered. So.
Yeah, people didn't give it a chance till you hit around that season 3 when you start to see a lot more of those G1 elements.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, you're right. When they started to tie the lore back in, they start calling the previous war the Great War, and then they brought the term the Arc over from the comics and started calling it that. That's true. That's true. It did take a bit of time. I just maybe I'm looking at rose-colored glasses. I don't know.
Hey Ken, you're really good with like doing like timelines of everything. Why don't you do a timeline of all the Transformers movies and explain them to me?
Okay, so which one do you want to start with? The one that sucks or the one that really sucks?
No, I want you to break them all down, how they reinvent the timeline every time and ignore the last movie before.
I mean, I just want to nail down the timeline. Oh, wait.
That's just called C Marvel and DC retcon crisis on something, basically is what it is. New director.
Well, folks, Yurko UB has joined us. Of course, wonderful designer. He's made some amazing vehicles. He's made dreams come true in a lot of ways. So, it is. You know what? I think all of us are really feeling it. Like even California and Vancouver are finally creeping up to like midnight past. So.
Almost.
I did want to thank everybody here for joining us, guys. This has been an amazing evening. I want to thank everybody for staying up this late. It's been absolutely crazy. Well, I was wondering what Well, actually, you know what? Jericho is okay. I was wondering if what people's final thoughts were on sorry, Toy Fair. Was there any toys that stuck out in anybody's mind? You know, specifically that they want to mention. Toy Sorceress, Michael. What was it? What was a standout figure for this year's toy?
I think the big story is going to be the Cobra Mothership from Super 7. It was on display at San Diego Comic-Con, and like nobody seemed to cover it. We did a story on it, and people just really flocked to that thing, and it's going to be really exciting. And I think that was one of the standout things, even though they haven't revealed the details yet. But that is coming on October 12th. And coincidentally, the same day that we're going to get an announcement on the MOTU fan vote. I don't know why their paths are crossing. The universe is going to converge on October 12th, so stay tuned.
I keep saying that toy companies need to start showing their calendar to each other so that they stop impacting on their own.
And they're both going to be crowdfund projects, the way we understand it. So,
Michael, final thoughts on?
Yeah, so I guess we only cover the things that we like personally, and so it's like we're not out to cover everything. But there was also that gonna give Toy Sorceress another PTSD, but that Turtles of Grayskull card or that card back. So
yes,
that was pretty much all we covered. I'm just looking TMNT and the Turtles of Grayskull.
I like those new TMNT, like the little, Muppet Baby type.
You're trying to get on.
Thank you. Oz, did you follow it any closely? Were there any takeaways that you had from
Toy Fair? Oh man, it's reinvigorated me a little bit into the horror scene because I'm sorry, Trick or Treats, they're going nuts over there with a whole bunch of great stuff, and then NECA showing off a personal favorite, those Ben Cooper Trick or Treat kids. Oh man, the mummy figure. I had that costume. So like, seeing that I was like, ooh, I kind of want these. And then I was thinking of like some cool things you could do with the Ben Cooper kids and stuff like that. And I really, really appreciated them giving us Robert De Niro as Rambo. I thought that was pretty cool. It was an odd choice considering Stallone played him, but I mean, it's all cool. That face sculpt.
I know what you're talking about.
I know you do, Lawrence. We've discussed it twice this week.
Yes, your show, my show.
Yeah, they piggyback off.
If you go look at those Rambo, Rambo figures, there's one. The one in the middle looks like De Niro, like eerily like him.
Yeah. Well, let's go into yours, Lawrence.
Yeah, Lawrence, what was your takeaway from PowerCon?
Well, I know we saw the mothership, and my feelings on Super 7, but I mean, I have a whole room of 1/18 scale G.I. Joe, including my childhood USS Flag. I don't know if anyone's ever heard that story before.
And a couple of shipwrecks.
8. Well, I had 8. I had 9 at one time. So I'm interested to see that. I think it's going to be way out of my price range because I won't pay that much for Super 7. I believe that we're not going to get into that. We'll be here all day. So there's that. The 3 new gargoyles. I don't care how big the wings are. Give them to me. Because you're going to give me the draped wings soon anyway. And then the last thing is Guar. Little Guar figures.
With genitalia.
Is this thing working? Like, I say Guar, like motherfuckers don't know what Guar
I
is.
hear it, Lauren.
No, Guar is one of my favorite bands growing up. I grew up in Virginia, man. I wasn't far away.
Oh, then you were right there.
Yeah, right there next to Richmond. Yeah, I've seen Guar I've seen Guar 6 times. So and then all of them with Dave Rocky before he passed away. So
Odorous Urungus, and he has his phallus on there. So
the cuttlefish of Cthulhu. Yeah, I know my Guar lore. Come on, man.
But I'm saying that picture, like that toy has it. But I believe I believe they said it's a build a figure, so you got to buy the other figures, including the new lead singer, to build Odorous.
Come on, we all know it's because it's the only way they're going to sell the lead.
Oh, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like he's just going to get thrown in the junk drawer. Like why would
I don't know. People have wanted Guar figures for so many years, which leads me to believe that Maybe they're not going to sell that well. It's a fear of mine because I think there's some of the most action figure-y looking figures out there, and it's a band, which I think is cool. But I just don't know. They might, in this day and age of a market that has so many adult collectors dominate it. Maybe it's time. Where there's no content that's really taboo so much anymore.
And again, we're kind of going off on a tangent here. If you went to Guar, a lot of people will collect the shirt, and they keep you go with that white shirt, you get done, you take it off, you package it. 2 years later, you realize how bad it smells, and you're like, "Good morning, I got to do something with this."
Yes.
I could see them peddling it at the shows. I mean, Hunter Jackson used to walk around and peddle the comics after shows, and no one would buy them though. Right. So that kind of think back to that. I don't know, man. We'll see. Sorry.
Well, that's good.
I want some soft goods sprayed shirts.
Just in a quick word, the Cobra Mothership, that's the one right there, right? Because if it scales with the Super 7 smaller figures, it probably scales with the O-ring stuff. So I guess you could use it in that canon as well.
Well, Brian Flynn did say that too. That he said, it fits with our with the reaction figures, but it will also scale with some other figures that are the same size.
Because if I got that, that's why I would be getting it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You mean you don't like guys to do this?
I like Star Wars figures. That's about it.
Yes.
It's going to come with the 2 trouble bubbles, so you're going to be able to use your O-ring figures in there. And if you want to see some leaked information, some details on the mothership that nobody knows about, head over to toyhabits.com because we have them on our article.
Oh, yeah.
Some reconnaissance.
It's so funny because I sometimes I go into the office in San Francisco where I work, and the Super 7 store, it's right fairly close. And I was down there, and the guy who was working there just started dishing all of the stuff about the mothership, vehicles coming to the Super 7 line, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I was like, woo.
Right.
Michael's
bringing in the digital recorder.
Michael's sitting outside the Super 7 door with the glass up to it after hours going, I can hear him.
You think it's a fly on the wall, but it's a drone that, Michael cobbled together with his architect friend,
Suffice to say, there's some exciting stuff coming along. Sure. And it's great because it scales with your O-ring figures. You can absolutely use them in all of the things that are going to be coming out.
Do you know what they did, though? And this pisses me off.
What? So, it doesn't piss you off, Lawrence. I'm kidding.
Oh.
Why am I next to this guy?
Lawrence needs a new show called "You Know What Grinds My Gears."
No, what they did was the Super 7, the holes for figure stands are all the normal size except for the GI Joe. They're a different size. I know
they don't fit well in there.
Yes.
Yep.
But
it's annoying.
All the other ones that I have, they're the same size. So why would you change that?
I use the little round ones that I use for the counter vintage figures, and they work okay for the figure stands for the reaction shows. Try those.
Yeah, I just put reaction figures when I buy one in the background because that's all they're worth.
All right, Ken. Sorry, Val. Why don't you take us home for the toy fair? Was there anything you noticed?
Oh gosh, I don't know if mine's so positive. I guess for me it wasn't so much about what was on display, but a lack thereof. I didn't get to go, but after talking to a lot of people that went, there was a lot that wasn't there. I mean, you got Hasbro and Mattel not there this year.
Completely missing.
Some companies weren't putting things up to show. A lot of companies had already shown things, so they didn't really have a lot to show off. So it was kind of an awkward show. It was weird. I heard about it being kind of slow, and some people were uncertain why they were even there. So it was weird. I think Toy Fair for me, I went for many, many years, is a very magical event. I think they're still finding their footing post-COVID. And hearing their plans about what they plan to do and how they're going to move forward, and then having another show after that in the next year, it sounds like going to start traveling, going down to New Orleans and stuff. That kind of gets me a little excited, them moving back into the slot where they were before for that, premiere stuff. So this year for me was kind of weird, it was kind of a weird watching it take place, but the things that we saw, saw a lot of cool reveals, a lot of cool stuff. It just I'm anxious for Toy Fair to get back to what it was before, once it readjusts its time slot and finds its footing again, because that's something I think will be very, very sad if that ever goes away.
Absolutely, and I believe it's a different different date this year, wasn't it? Or was
yeah, they traditionally was in February. Them coming back, they did it here in early October, and I think the next one's going to be January. So they're moving back to kind of getting it back where it used to be.
Yeah, but January 2025, because this was because January 2024 is literally around the corner. So
yeah, that, and then I think it was 2026 was New Orleans. I think. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
So it's that got me excited. That might be when I have to go back down for it again.
That would be really cool. Guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. Oz, my friend, what are you working on right now, and how can people reach you?
Well, everybody, as you all know, Ostradamus Toys on Saturday nights, big hangout streams. Everybody's always welcome. If you guys want to jump on and you want to hang out for a while, just shoot me a message and I can send you the link. And of course, every Thursday night we do Toy Frenzy on Skelevator's channel. This week we actually had 2 back-to-back episodes. We had Stump Puppet Pictures, Justin Rosh on Thursday night, and then tonight we did a quick review of the Mondo Trapjaw. And of course, you can catch me here on Mega J Live, every couple of weeks or so, and all across ToyTube. I'm always popping up on TKO, and looking forward to spending time with other of our good friend and toy tubers like Brick Something as well, and Toy Habits, and all of us. So
awesome.
Excellent. Lawrence, how can people reach you, and what are you working on right now, my friend?
A Punk with Toys on Instagram, Twitter too, but I don't know how to use Twitter, so I'm sorry. X.
X.
Yes. Every Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday Night Toy Ramblings. I ramble on for 3+ hours, just me in the chat. And then this is my plug. I do Thursday shows. It's every other week. Thursday with a friend. This week it is pre-recorded with Lenny from Hasbro. It is not about, but if you're interested about finding out what's happening with G.I. Joe, that's not what it's about. Thursday with a friend, Oz can tell you because he's been on it. It is specifically about just getting to know people that are in my community that have helped support me. So it's really finding out about Lenny from his childhood through high school and going to school, being in a band, working in a graveyard. And we do talk some Joe, but if you're looking for me to yell and scream at him about why we're not getting Hooded Cobra Commander and what's the next figure and why are the prices like this, you're not going to get that. You're just going to get to know the man himself.
Sweet.
Excellent. Ken, my friend, what are you up to, and how can people reach you?
Okie doke. Yeah, so just got a lot of stuff on the go, always producing something. As Toy Sorceress mentioned, G.I. Joe, History of G.I. Joe 85 is done. It's getting into the queue, and History of G.I. Joe 84 is also done. Doing some of the independent toy stuff. I've got a video where I basically go over one figure from each of the independent O-ring lines. That's going to come out probably sometime in November. And also Delta 17, the shipment is coming. It will, the 11 unique figures are going to be landing next month, and we'll hopefully start packing orders and try to get things out before Christmas if we can. And other than that, you can just find me on all my friends' channels, the ones Oz mentioned, and then some. So, yeah, that's that, I guess.
And of course,
sorry. As for being having no opinion about the repaints whatsoever, I just tackle onto a comment earlier. I grew up buying Thundercracker, Skywarp, and Starscream all the time. Every time Transformers came out, and having by Ironhide and Ratchet. So I'm not saying it's okay, but I think I got kind of blinded to it at a very young age. So anyway, I just wanted to say that.
What are toys without repaints? Come on, it's a staple. It's a staple. As a matter of fact, Val Staples, my friend, What can we
Good
expect?
segue, Jay.
Segue.
That was a good way. That was a good one, right? What can we expect? Any tidbits? Anything you can give us?
Not much. I like I said, if you follow Pixel Dan, anybody out there, just stay tuned. He's gonna have a cool announcement here with a pre-sale soon after, hopefully within the next month. Other than that, it's just planning for PowerCon, and I asked everybody out there if you want to come to PowerCon and you're excited about it, or if you've been and you're excited about it, just please help keep the excitement alive, and please keep talking about it. It's one of those things where the more people talk about it, the more excited they get. So when 2025 rolls around, it'll be a lot of anticipation and a lot of happy people running around having a good time hanging out with each other. So that's what I'm shooting for.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. You have no idea, Val. I'm seriously excited. Guys, I want to thank everybody.
Oh, and yeah, I will say, I don't mean to cut you off, but I mean, I don't know if you've told them, but I mean, you and I talked about something, and Jay's going to help me out with something at PowerCon, so I'm pretty happy about that. So
you told me not to talk about it.
Well, no, more details will be revealed. So just not tonight.
Well, we got something, I guess, because I wasn't going to talk about it. I guess Val decided.
So something is coming. We don't know what it is, but we'll like it.
I got him working registration. So
apparently, I'm gonna be working. He's gonna work me hard. He's
gonna be working. Yeah,
I'm willing to work.
Well, there you go, guys. On that bombshell, we're definitely
need a booth, so we'll talk, Val.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
right.
We are.
Gotta make some space for Ken, Val.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
Actually need 2 booths, but we'll get into it.
Oh,
2017 and then your stuff, right, Ken?
We have 2 booths for Joe Fest, and we were supposed to contact you for PowerCon, and I said, "Sorry, Steve, I don't know the guy." And then, like 2 hours ago, they're like, "Hey, you want to come on?" I'm like, "Okay." And there you were.
Hey, that works out well. So.
It's always an absolute pleasure being able to hang out with such amazing content creators, and of course Val Staples. This is so great, guys. Thank you so much for being here, guys. If you want to learn more about each and every one of these channels, please check out their social media, all of their channels, incredible toy tubers, and of course PowerCon. You can't forget about PowerCon, guys. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope you're all doing well, staying safe, and as always,
a great night.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Take care.
Chairs, we can